Chapter 524. Su Yiyin was silent for a moment and shook her head. They are professionals. If it were other companies, they might not be able to operate well. Moreover, these things were originally yours. If you want to take them back, I have nothing to say. In the end, these things did not change. What changed was the human heart. When a person loved you, they wanted to give you all the good things. These things were the sweetness of love to you, and it was the proof that they cared about you. But if they really didn't love you, no matter how hard you tried to keep them, the other party had countless ways to take them back from you. So, listen carefully. If you dare to betray me in the future, I don't want you anymore. Huo Qinhuan's eyes flashed slightly. He pressed against Su Yiyin's forehead and looked straight into her eyes. He said word by word, I won't give you the chance. Su Yiyin smiled and took the initiative to change the topic. I told you what my mother told me. Shouldn't you tell me what my father and brother told you? They are also worried about you. Worried about me? Su Yiyin was stunned. She felt that what they were worried about might be different from what her mother was worried about. Worried about me? They guessed that you cured my leg. They were worried that this matter would be too eye-catching and cause you trouble. Su Yiyin was silent for a while. She asked Li Ci in a low voice, Am I too willful? She knew that some things would cause trouble, but she still couldn't bear to pretend that she didn't see it. In the end, her family still had to help and protect her. Huo Qinhuan couldn't bear to see her so disappointed. He reached out to touch her head and sighed. Have you forgotten what I told you before? As long as it's something you want to do, do it. I'm here. It wasn't that he hadn't thought of hiding Su Yiyin. In fact, this idea had appeared more than once. But no matter how much time had passed, the person in front of him was his nemesis. He would be jealous and resentful, but he always couldn't bear to hurt her or do anything to make her unhappy. Su Yiyin was like a little sun in his eyes. She warmed him and also warmed those who had nowhere to go. He didn't want to share this warmth with anyone, but he was afraid that if he tried to stop it, it would cause this little sun to lose its warmth. Therefore, the only thing he could do was to let this little sun shine without any worries and not let anyone hurt her. In order to do this better, he was so eager to stand up when he found that he could still feel his legs. Yin, I will protect you. You don't have to worry about anything else. Su Yiyin's eyes flickered slightly. In a trance, she thought of the man in her previous life who was willing to go against the whole world for her. Yes, I believe you. By the time they got home, it was already dark. After dinner, Huo Qinhuan couldn't wait to bring Su Yiyin upstairs. Only then did Su Yiyin realize what kind of trap she had dug for herself last night. Looking at a certain someone whose eyes were so bright that they almost burned her, Su Yiyin's mouth twitched slightly. She took a deep breath and said, take a shower first. Huo Qinhuan's eyes deepened. Together? Su Yiyin? If they did, would she still be alive? I'll go first. Su Yiyin didn't dare to look Huo Qinhuan in the eye. She picked up her clothes and rushed into the bathroom. Huo Qinhuan didn't stop her. Looking at her back as she left in a hurry, his eyes flashed with a determined light. Chapter 525. After Su Yiyin rushed into the bathroom, her face was so red that it could drip blood. The rising hot water spread in the room and covered the mirror at the side. Su Yiyin looked at her red face in the mirror and thought about what was going to happen next. Her heart couldn't stop thumping. Isn't it just a wedding night? We are legally married. Why are you panicking? Can't you be more mature? Su Yiyin glared at herself in the mirror. Then she took a shower as fast as she could and hid under the covers before Huo Qinhuan came near. Huo Qinhuan glanced at Su Yiyin, who was hiding under the covers like a small bump, and the smile in his eyes deepened. When she heard the bathroom door close again, Su Yiyin poked her head out from under the covers and reached out to touch her phone. She opened the private collection that Ling Xiaoqi had sent her and decided to make a last-minute effort. However, Su Yiyin misjudged Huo Qinhuan's shower time and even misjudged how anxious he was about this. Just as she was nervously watching the short video with complicated feelings, the bathroom door opened with a click. Su Yiyin was shocked and instinctively wanted to turn off the short video. Unfortunately, she wasn't as lucky as before this time. In a fluster, the phone slipped out of her hand and slid to Huo Qinhuan's feet. Huo Qinhuan? Su Yiyin? Huo Qinhuan was stunned for a moment and leaned over to pick up the phone. Su Yiyin was so scared that her face changed shape and she screamed, "Don't move!" But she was still a step too late. Huo Qinhuan glanced at the silent short video that was still playing on the screen. When he raised his head again, he looked at Su Yiyin with a complicated and meaningful gaze. Su Yiyin felt her scalp tingle under his gaze and said in a trembling voice, "Let me explain. Can you explain? I'm a little nervous. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flickered. So, you watch these little videos to relieve your tension? Su Yiyan lowered her head slightly, wishing she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. Hua Chenhuan's laughter rang in her ears. Su Yiyan's face suddenly turned red. She raised her head to glare at Hua Chenhuan angrily. Before she could finish her words, her lips were kissed, and a certain figure pressed down on her. I'm sorry. Hua Chenhuan's voice was low and magnetic, just like in the past, but with a sexiness that had never been there before. You don't need to learn this kind of thing. Just leave it to me. Su Yiyan didn't have time to ponder over his words before the quilt was flipped over and covered the two of them. The late wedding night was more special and ambiguous than any other night, making people blush. The next morning, Su Yiyan woke up in a trance. Before she was completely awake, a cool kiss fell on her forehead. Morning. Su Yiyan opened her eyes wide and subconsciously glanced at the quilt. Sure enough, the two of them did everything. Nothing. Where? Recalling what happened last night, Su Yiyan's face turned red. She subconsciously hid under the quilt and whispered, Morning. Hua Chenhuan saw that she was shy, so he reached out and hugged her tighter. Yen. What? You finally belong to me completely. Su Yiyan's face turned red. She wished she could hide under the quilt and never come out. But soon she thought of another thing. She poked her head out of the quilt and stared at Hua Chenhuan with burning eyes. Chapter 526. Hua Chenhuan was inexplicably flustered by her stare. He asked in a low voice, What's wrong? Last night, was it really your first time? Hua Chenhuan frowned. He didn't understand why she asked this question. Could it be that she thought his technique wasn't good enough? It was my first time. Then why are you so skilled? Hua Chenhuan was stunned. He couldn't help but laugh. Can I take it that you're praising me? Su Yiyan blushed and glared at him. Don't change the topic. Hua Chenhuan laughed. I was still underage when the accident happened. The implication was that she couldn't do it when she was underage. She had no chance to do it when she was an adult. Of course it was her first time. Then you can watch videos. Can I read books? Read books? Su Yiyan's eyes widened. She obviously didn't expect this answer. Yes. Su Yiyan frowned. Where did you get the books? Who recommended them to you? A small yellow book. Who was it? Who was the one who led my husband astray? The three people who were worried sick for their young master, Chu. Hua Chenhuan didn't answer her question. Instead he asked, Then who gave you the videos? Su Yiyan choked. I asked first. Xian Xiaoyang and Yen Bai. Hua Chenhuan decisively betrayed his trusted subordinates. Then he gestured to Su Yiyan. It's your turn to speak now. Su Yiyan's eyes darted around. She didn't dare to look at Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan saw her like this and guessed. Ling Xiaoqi? Su Yiyan trembled. She still didn't speak. Hua Chenhuan already had an answer. A dark light flashed in his eyes. Su Yiyan felt guilty for a while, but she suddenly regained her confidence. You read the book and I watched the video. We're even now. It's not even, Hua Chenhuan said without hesitation. You're not allowed to look at it anymore. Su Yiyan glared at him. What? Words aren't as direct as videos. Haven't you seen enough of me? You still want to look at other men? In the end, porn was just text. It didn't have the visual effect of a short video. The reason he read pornographic novels was to increase his knowledge in this area, but he had never looked at other women's bodies. Su Yiyan was different. At the thought of this, Hua Chenhuan wished she could burn the men and women in the video to ashes. Su Yiyan knew that he was in the wrong, so his momentum immediately weakened. Fine. Is that all? Then what do you want? Su Yiyan glared at him again. This guy was getting more and more insatiable. I want compensation. What? Su Yiyan had just finished speaking when she was kissed again. Then, the two people under the big quilt could be seen struggling. Occasionally, Su Yiyan's voice of protest could be heard. No, get up quickly. I still have class in the afternoon. Hua Chenhuan, you bastard. Fortunately, Hua Chenhuan still had a little conscience. He knew that Su Yiyan still had class in the afternoon. In the end, he didn't go all the way and let her go. Su Yiyan escaped with difficulty. Looking at the obvious red marks on her neck in the mirror, she angrily gritted her teeth. This beast, she told him not to leave marks on such an obvious place, but he just didn't listen. Now she still had class in the afternoon. If it was seen by others, Su Yiyan, who was ashamed and angry, looked depressed. She secretly wondered if it was because she had been making medicinal meals for a certain someone recently. She had given him too much nourishment, so he didn't know how to control himself. Should she make something else to calm him down? Chapter 527. At that time, Huo still didn't know that his wife was like a rabbit grinding its teeth when provoked. Her thoughts were quite dangerous. Even though he was sitting expressionlessly downstairs, a mysterious and unfathomable aura still lingered around him. When Yuzian arrived, he saw this scene. His eyelids twitched and he moved like a crab to Uncle Zhang's side. "Young master, what's wrong today?" Uncle Zhang had a kind smile on his face. He clearly saw through the situation and said, "Young master's health has improved," so his mood naturally improved as well. Yuzian nodded, not fully understanding. He had a feeling that things weren't as simple as Uncle Zhang said, but he couldn't figure out what was wrong. Until he saw Su Yiyan coming down from upstairs. As soon as Su Yiyan saw Yuzian, she remembered what Huo said last night, and her face darkened. It was this guy who found those dirty words for Huo and caused her to suffer last night. Huo was the mastermind, and he was also an accomplice. Yuzian's heart trembled when Su Yiyan glared at him. He didn't understand what he had done wrong to provoke this good-tempered young madam. Su Yiyan didn't explain. She sat at the table furthest away from Huo. Huo's eyes flashed when he saw this. He stood up and sat next to Su Yiyan. In reality, he was shamelessly sticking to her. "If the mountain doesn't come to me, I'll go to the mountain." Su Yiyan frowned when she saw him coming over. She stood up and walked to the other side of the table. Huo didn't get angry and continued to chase after her. As a result, Yuzian and Uncle Zhang, who were silently watching from the side, were lucky enough to witness a chase at the table. Su Yiyan ran for about 5 minutes before he finally couldn't take it anymore. He slammed the table, pointed at the seat opposite him and shouted, "You go over there. Don't come over." Huo looked aggrieved as he stared at his wife with puppy eyes. Su Yiyan was unmoved. He pointed at the opposite side with a cold face, not allowing any refusal. When Huo saw that there was no room for negotiation, she regretfully got up and moved to the opposite side. However, she chose the shortest distance to Su Yiyan. Picking up his bowl and chopsticks, he glanced at Su Yiyan every time he ate a mouthful of rice, and glanced at Su Yiyan every time he ate a mouthful of vegetables. It was obvious that he was treating her as a side dish, which really verified the phrase, "a feast for the eyes." Su Yiyan, who felt goosebumps all over, was speechless. This shameless fellow, how infuriating. Yuzian and Uncle Zhang, who had witnessed the couple's childish quarrel, were speechless. A few seconds later, Yuzian finally realized what was going on and turned to look at Uncle Zhang. He asked with a questioning gaze, "Young master and young madam, are they fighting?" Uncle Zhang narrowed his eyes and raised an unfathomable smile. "Even if they are fighting, it's still fun. You don't understand the romance between couples." Yuzian, who felt like a knife had been stabbed in the heart for no reason, was speechless. This world really isn't friendly to single people. After eating the long-overdue breakfast and lunch, Su Yiyan left the house in a slightly depressed mood. Before she left, she glared fiercely at Huo and Yuzian. Yuzian, who had been implicated twice in a row, was confused. He couldn't help but ask Huo, "Young master, young madam, she..." Huo didn't listen to him at all. He only looked at his wife's back as she angrily left. He rubbed his chin and muttered, "I went a little too far the first time. It's better to restrain yourself in the future. However, you can't blame me for this." Who asked his wife to be so attractive? Yuzian, who had been fed dog food in the face, was speechless. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 528. After Su Yiyan came out of the house, her anger finally subsided a little. She reached out to pull at the thin turtleneck sweater around her neck, revealing the obvious mark. Her heart immediately flared up again. She was already feeling hot. Even wearing a thin sweater made her flustered. There would be so many people in class later. Who knew how hot it would be? At the thought of this, Su Yiyan wished she could break a certain someone's third leg that had just recovered. Huo, who was regretting that she didn't have enough time in the morning, suddenly shivered. She suddenly felt that a certain part of her body was a little cold. Su Yiyan was thinking about the dangers of children when her phone suddenly received a message. She looked down and saw that it was from Ling Xiaoqi. "Ling, what's the meaning of this?" "Ling, picture, Su Yiyan clicked on the picture and saw that it was indeed her mail account. As for the content, my Yin Yin is still a baby. Don't send those weird things to him in the future. Thank you for your cooperation. Su Yiyan. What baby? You're the baby. Your whole family is a baby. No, his whole family seemed to be her? Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. She was about to say something when she suddenly thought of something else. Yin, wait, how did you get my husband's account? You guys are actually in contact in private? Ling? Ling, get lost. He just added me this morning. Wasn't it you who gave him the account? Su Yiyan. It wasn't, but she seemed to have guessed what was going on. Su Yiyan thought for a while and pulled up the file from before. Sure enough, it was empty. There was nothing in it. This jealous lover really acted quickly. He didn't like her watching these videos last night, and now he had deleted them all. Su Yiyan was angry and amused at the same time. Then she saw Ling Xiaoqi send another message. Ling, no, that's not the point. The point is, what does this mean? Did your man catch you watching the videos? Then you guys, Yin, it's what you think. Shy. Ling Xiaoqi almost choked on a mouthful of blood. What's there to be shy about? I'm not going to eat this dog food. However, she quickly came to her senses and thought of something else. Ling, that's not right. Didn't you say that you haven't done it before? Ling, wait, you didn't do it last time because it was inconvenient for your husband to do it while he was undergoing treatment. Now that his leg has recovered, you guys, Yin, shy, Ling, shameless. Ling Xiaoqi kicked over the bowl of dog food and blocked Su Yiyan. As it turned out, she still had a lot of foresight. When Su Yiyan saw her words, she immediately wanted to spread more dog food to relieve her depression. In the end, he realized that he had been blacklisted. Su Yiyan? Angry Ghost. This was Su Yiyan's second class at University A. Based on the foundation of the previous class, the students in the classroom and the professors who came to sit in on the class had already arrived early. Sitting in the front row was still a bunch of stubborn people. This group of people smilingly occupied the best seats so that they could see more clearly when Su Yiyan personally demonstrated. They even said that they were old and had poor eyesight, so they couldn't see at all sitting in the back row. Young people have good eyesight, so they should respect the elders and not fight with them. The glasses boys sitting in the back silently swallowed the bitterness of grief and indignation. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 529. Su Yiyan didn't know if it was because she had a guilty conscience, but the moment she stood on the podium, she felt that everyone's eyes were on her neck. Fortunately, Su Yiyan had been through a lot, so she quickly calmed down. Ahem, before we start the new lesson, let's do a spot check and see what we did in the last lesson. Who is willing to take the initiative? As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, a forest of trees was raised from the bottom of the stage. Su Yiyan? That's not right. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't most people be unwilling to be picked to answer questions? Why was it reversed when it came to them? Su Yiyan looked at the crowd with a look that said, "Why aren't you following the script?" Then she randomly picked a few people to answer the questions. She realized that the other party's answers were clear and logical. She guessed that they had spent a lot of effort studying and memorizing the lessons. After that, she didn't make things difficult for them and quickly got to the main topic. In the last lesson, what were we going to talk about in this lesson? As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, a few old people in the front row yelled at the top of their lungs, "Acupuncture." Su Yiyan? You guys aren't old, so take it easy. Do you really think you're still 17 or 18 years old? That's right, acupuncture. But before we learn acupuncture, we have to learn about the human body's acupuncture points. Acupuncture points? Yes, acupuncture points, Su Yiyan said as she pulled the mannequin that Yi Qiliang had prepared earlier to the front of the podium. Everyone's eyes lit up. Yi Qiliang had asked someone to move the mannequin in the morning. Everyone saw it when they entered the classroom. Some students curiously went over to take a look. They wanted to touch it but were chased away by the old people, afraid that they would be careless and break it. When they saw Su Yiyan pull the mannequin to her side, they subconsciously straightened their bodies, wanting to see the mannequin more clearly. I asked Professor Yi to help me make this mannequin. The black and red dots on it are the various acupuncture points of the human body. In our human body, there are a total of 720 acupoints. There are 52 single acupoints, 309 double acupoints, and 50 extrameridian acupoints. The 8 extraordinary meridians mentioned by the ancients are actually a type of meridians and acupoints. Su Yiyan paused. What is worth noting is that among these 720 acupoints, 108 are vital acupoints, and 36 of them are fatal acupoints. Everyone below couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Achilles' heel? This phrase didn't sound very auspicious. The death acupoint, as its name suggests, is an acupoint that can lead to death. However, there was no need for everyone to be too nervous. Under normal circumstances, pressing and massaging these acupoints would not cause any adverse effects. The reason why they are fatal is because if you get into a fight with someone or accidentally fall down, a strong impact can be fatal. For example, the most obvious temple. Many people know that the sunken position next to our eyes needs to be protected. It was because this acupoint was the Taiyang acupoint, one of the death acupoints. Everyone knew that the brain was the most important and complicated part of the human body. When many people fall from a high place, they will subconsciously reach out to protect their head to prevent it from getting injured. And this temple happens to be the weakest part of our skull. Chapter 530. Su Yiyin stretched out her hand and gestured on the model. Because it's the weakest, it's also the easiest to injure the brain. Usually, we can rub it lightly to relieve brain fatigue to a certain extent, but we can't hit it too hard, especially not to hit it. If we hit it too hard, it'll lead to fainting or even death. As soon as Su Yiyin said this, some people couldn't help but exclaim softly, "I know this. When I was in high school, I happened to see two groups of people fighting near the school when I returned home. One of them was especially fierce and even hit people's heads. There was a boy who was hit to this position and couldn't get up. Later he died just like that. That person was also arrested because of this. Now that you mention it, I also remember something. Previously I had a distant relative. He was a man in his 30s or 40s. It was said that he went to the toilet late at night. The road was slippery when it rained, so he slipped and fell to the ground and died immediately. Later, I heard from other relatives that a stone hit his head. Now that I think about it, it's really scary." Su Yiyin listened to everyone's discussion and sighed softly. She took the opportunity to say, "So everyone must be aware that the human body's acupuncture points can help us treat illnesses, but they also have a certain degree of danger. Before you're confident, you shouldn't act rashly. Otherwise, you'll end up hurting people instead of saving people with good intentions." When the people heard this, they hurriedly counted and memorized every word Su Yiyin said. "Today, let's learn a few acupuncture points on the hand." As soon as Su Yiyin finished speaking, someone volunteered. "Sister Su, do you need an assistant? Just like the previous class, I can help." Like a stone that raised 1,000 ripples, this person opened his mouth, and the restless people below also echoed, "I can do it too. Sister Su, look at me, look at me. I'm 1.8 meters tall and weigh 160 pounds. I exercise daily and have a strong body. I don't have any bad habits." Su Yiyin. Strong body and no bad habits. Are you here for a blind date or for a class? Go away. Since you want to be an assistant, you'll definitely choose someone who isn't healthy. If you don't have a serious illness, you'll at least have some kind of illness. Someone like you who is too healthy should be eliminated as the first choice. Sister Su, look at me, look at me. I'm the most suitable one. The healthy student who was caught off guard. Is it wrong to be too healthy these days? Su Yiyin. You don't have to curse yourself like that. The emotions of the students below were surging, and the few old people in the front row could no longer sit still. You bunch of bastards, scram to the side. All of them are in their early 20s and are still alive and kicking. How can they be as sick as us old bones? Even if Sister Su wants to choose, she should choose us. What does it have to do with you youngsters? That's right, that's right. You don't know how to respect your teacher at all. What did the teacher usually teach you? One must respect their teachers and know how to be humble. Usually it's fine. Teacher will turn a blind eye to it, but this time I won't give anything to you. The youngsters who were suddenly accused of not respecting their master. Who was the one who gave in? How could they bully Rao like this? Su Yiyin. You're all a bunch of old bones. Can't you know your place? Don't get involved in everything? Still alive and kicking? I think you guys are the ones who are jumping around the most. Chapter 531. A good demonstration was about to turn into a battle between master and disciple in the martial arts school. Su Yiyin's mouth twitched slightly. She decisively took out the acupuncture needle she carried with her and said loudly, "Since everyone is so enthusiastic, it would be impolite for me to refuse. But since I've already called everyone in order to save time, I won't bother two people. I'll be called up to help later." Later you'll have to help me test this needle. Su Yiyin chose the longest needle in the bag. It was thin and long and could cause you to bleed at any time. Many of the people in the audience had never even heard of acupuncture before, let alone seeing such a long needle. The visual stimulation was indeed a bit of a thrill. In a split second, the classroom was dead silent. Most people showed signs of retreating. The 10 or so elders in the front row were the first to react. They realized that their chance had come. Sigh, if I don't go to hell at this time, who will? Let me do it. Young people lack the fearless spirit of sacrifice. People like us who have one foot in the coffin can only contribute at this time. The young people who were inexplicably dissed for being greedy for life and afraid of death. Inexplicably sullen. Su Yiyin, you guys are really giving it your all. Also, don't think that I can't see the crazy smile on your faces just because you're so dignified. You're really taking advantage of me and still pretending to be obedient. You're acting as if coming here is a generous death sentence. You're too spoiled. Su Yiyin rolled her eyes at the few people who spoke and simply chose a few elders who silently raised their hands. The few people who were shouting enthusiastically. They felt that after putting on an act for so long, in the end they still made a wedding dress for someone else. Su Yiyin didn't care about their aggrieved and complaining eyes. She asked the few elders who were chosen by her to gather around the podium. Considering their age, Su Yiyin considerately asked them to bring a few chairs up. Now let's look at a few acupuncture points on the hand. First, this position. Su Yiyin compared the model while she asked everyone to bend their fingers and make a fist. This position is called the Laogong acupuncture point. It's at the tip of the middle finger when we make a fist. What is the use of this acupoint? Su Yiyin reached out to one of the old men and asked him to pass his hand to him. This acupoint has many uses. Not only can it clear the heart fire and calm the mind, but it can also cure insomnia. It can also strengthen the heart and relieve high blood pressure. In addition, it can also nourish the stomach. Nourish the stomach? Yes, pressing this acupoint regularly can promote blood circulation, relieve neurasthenia, and increase appetite. As soon as Su Yiyin said this, everyone started to touch and rub that spot with curiosity. However, most of them did not dare to use too much strength. After all, Su Yiyin's Achilles heel technique had left them with some psychological trauma. In addition, the Daling and Naguan acupoints also have the function of nourishing the stomach. These two acupoints are located at the midpoint of the palmar side of the transverse vein of the wrist and 2 inches above the transverse vein of the wrist, which is roughly around this position. Su Yiyin personally gestured the approximate location of the acupoints for everyone. In addition, one thing to note is that children are different from adults. Generally, the acupoints should be slightly closer together. As Su Yiyin spoke, she pressed on the Naguan, Laogong, and Daling acupoints for the old man who had been chosen. Everyone's eyes were practically glued to the two of them. After a series of actions, it was unknown whether it was because her actions were really effective or because the old man was excited, but his face turned a little rosy. Chapter 532. A few old professors who were familiar with him saw that he didn't say anything, so they quickly asked, "Old Li, how do you feel?" "Yeah, what do you feel?" Old Li, who was in the center of everyone's attention, had a subtle expression. He could feel that his body was different, but the feeling was so subtle that he didn't know how to describe it. "I just feel, my stomach is a little warm and my body is a little hot." Then, gulp, now he didn't need to say anything. Everyone could roughly guess how he felt. His stomach growled in front of so many people. Old Li's face turned red, but he couldn't help but marvel at the magic of this acupuncture point. His stomach had always been bad. As he got older, his body functions were slowly declining, and he usually didn't have much of an appetite. If it wasn't for the fact that his family had caries and his body couldn't take it if he didn't eat, he probably wouldn't have thought of eating. This was the first time he had such an obvious hunger and wanted to take the initiative to eat. Su Yiyin saw his embarrassment and smiled faintly. "Professor, you have to pay attention to your health even when you're busy with work. Don't starve yourself like this. It's not good for your health. If you don't have a good body, how can you continue to contribute to everyone?" Old Li heard that she was helping him to smooth things over, so he quickly went along with her. "I've been busy organizing things these few days. I won't do it again." Su Yiyin smiled and quickly covered the matter. "Next, let's go to the Hoshi acupoint. The Hoshi acupoint is at the end of the horizontal lines behind the palm and finger joints. This acupoint has a certain effect on cervical, lumbar, and eye diseases. It's very useful for people who spend a lot of time at a desk or studying with computers. Next is the Yangshi acupoint. This acupoint is located in the depression between the extensor pollicis brevis and extensor pollicis longus tendons when the thumb and index finger diverge. Press on this position for 3 to 5 minutes at a time. It helps to refresh your mind and relieve headaches so that you won't fall asleep in class. As soon as Su Yiyin said this, everyone immediately roared with laughter. After all, everyone had the experience of wanting to sleep when they were confused in class, especially on a hot summer day. Running to class without taking a nap, even if you really wanted to listen to the class, you couldn't resist the call of the god of sleep and became a chicken pecking at rice. After a few classes, the way everyone looked at their hands had changed. Before this, they would never have thought that there would be so many acupoints on their hands. Furthermore, each of these acupoints had its own unique function. Su Yiyin could tell that everyone was very interested in the issue of acupuncture points, so he unconsciously talked more about it. In the end, he did not manage to demonstrate acupuncture to them. For this reason, the few old professors who were selected felt very regretful. They wanted Su Yiyin to continue this benefit to the next class, but they did not know what to say. Su Yiyin? Was it necessary? In order to avoid being pestered, Su Yiyin should have run away as soon as class was over, just like last time. But this time she had something to discuss with Yi Qiliang, so she really couldn't run away. Professor Yi, wait a minute. I have something to discuss with you. Yi Qiliang was stunned. Then his eyes lit up. What is it? Is there a special teaching tool that you need my help to customize? Chapter 533. Su Yiyin looked at his expectant expression, which was the same as that of those old professors, and said awkwardly, "No, it's about me forgiving him." Forgiving him? Yi Qiliang's expression changed slightly. He looked at Su Yiyin in horror, afraid that this big boss would go on strike on the spot. Su Yiyin's scalp tingled under his gaze. My aunt is pregnant with a baby. She will give birth in a month or 2. She's not old. I can't be at ease if I'm not by her side when she gives birth. I'm going to accompany her in a month. After that, I might stay there for another month or 2 before coming back. If you don't mind, can we change the weekend classes to online classes? Otherwise, I'm afraid we can only temporarily stop. Knowing that Su Yiyin was not going to go on strike, Yi Qiliang breathed a sigh of relief and immediately said, I don't mind. Let's use online classes. When the time comes, we will organize good people to attend the classes together. Then I'll have to trouble you. After informing Yi Qiliang in advance, Su Yiyin felt relieved. Just as she was about to go home, she was surrounded by a group of people. Unlike last time, most of the people surrounding her this time were girls. Susu, are you that President Su on the internet? Are you really a rich second-generation heir? Is your husband really as handsome as the rumors on the internet say? Susu, is your husband that handsome guy last time? Is his leg really healed? When are you going to bring him over for us to see? Su Yiyin was too lazy to correct them. She helplessly laughed and said, Why should I bring him over for you to see? That's my husband. Only I can see him. The girls surrounding her did not expect her to respond like this. They were stunned for a few seconds before they reacted. Hey, wow. Sure enough, the good women in this world are no longer single. The good men are also no longer single. Only us single dogs have no home. No, we have to be stuffed with dog food. Sob. I want to. Sigh, the cold dog food is on my face. It's too hard for single dogs. Su Yiyin was amused by these drama queens. Just as he was about to speak, a sudden clamor came from outside. The few of them were stunned and subconsciously turned their heads to look in the direction of the voice. They saw someone standing outside the classroom. Su Yiyin's eyes widened in surprise. She couldn't be bothered to continue talking to them and hurriedly rushed out of the classroom. Why are you here? Fortunately, it was a long holiday and there weren't many people in the school. Otherwise, those people in the classroom wouldn't have to sign confidentiality agreements. By the time they got home, the news of the two of them appearing in a university would probably spread like wildfire. Hua Chenhuan reached out and helped her up. She smiled faintly and said, If it's not you, can I pick you up at any time? It was true that she was living like that, but she didn't expect Hua Chenhuan to come to her so soon. I've already finished my class. Let's hurry back. Su Yiyin had already noticed that many people in the classroom were looking in their direction. She blushed and pulled Hua Chenhuan to leave. Hua Chenhuan didn't intend to leave just like that. Instead, he took a step back and opened his arms. Su Yiyin was a little confused. What are you doing? Fulfilling your wish. Fulfilling my wish? What do I have? Su Yin's words were stuck in her throat. She suddenly remembered the first time they entered the game. She was like a pendant hanging on Huo Qinhuan's body. She even hoped that one day they could be like this in real life. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Clearly Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 534. Looking at Huo Qinhuan's solemn expression, as if she was completing an important ceremony, Su Yiyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The two of them were so anxious that the people behind them started pointing at them and whispering. Su Yiyin blushed and went forward to hug Huo Qinhuan's neck. She jumped up and allowed Huo Qinhuan to carry her away like a child. *CK. Not far away, the people who were secretly observing them were stunned by this novel combination. When Su Yiyin was carried into the car, she was like a cooked shrimp. She covered her eyes and curled up in Huo Qinhuan's arms. She wanted to play dead until the end. Huo Qinhuan looked at her and couldn't help but poke her. She chuckled and said, "Weren't you looking forward to it before? Why are you so shy now? How could it be the same? Previously it was just the two of them in the game. Of course she could do whatever she wanted. Anyway, no one else could see. Now they were in public in front of so many strangers. Most importantly, most of these strangers were her recent students. So, was she leading the way to abuse single people in school and mislead them?" Su Yin's mind was already filled with complaints. When she came to her senses, she realized that the car was driving on a road that was completely unfamiliar to her. This road doesn't seem to be the way home. Aren't we going home? We're not going home. Huo Qinhuan gently held Su Yin's hand and smiled. I'm taking you on a date. A date? Su Yin couldn't care less about her shyness. Where are we going on a date? You'll know when we get there, Huo Qinhuan kept her in suspense. Su Yin blinked and looked forward to it. Although they were married, they hadn't really gone on many dates. Previously, it was because their wedding date was close and Huo Qinhuan didn't like to go to public places because of her leg problem. This was their first date since Huo Qinhuan's recovery, not counting the game. Su Yin couldn't deny that he was looking forward to it. The car took a detour to a remote mountain. The mountain was not big, but the ecological environment was well protected. It was lush and verdant, and one could faintly hear the cries of animals at night. This was quite rare in City A where the population was exploding. When the car was halfway up the mountain, it became a stone walkway. They couldn't continue going up. Su Yin got out of the car and looked at the long stone steps, as well as the dense lights on both sides of the stone steps. He was surprised and curious. Are we still going up? Yes. Huo Qinhuan glanced at the place she hadn't set foot in for nearly 10 years, and her eyes flashed. Let's go. Su Yin noticed the change in Huo Qinhuan's expression. Her intuition told her that there was something he was concerned about. The mountain wind at night was a little cold. It blew on the two of them, taking away a lot of fatigue and heat. Even so, halfway up, Su Yin still couldn't bear it. She had stood for the whole afternoon in class and now she had walked for so long. Her legs were beginning to ache. Huo Qinhuan obviously expected this. He stopped and stood in front of Su Yin. With his back to her, he bowed and said, "Come up." Su Yin was stunned. No, I can still go back." Huo Qinhuan turned to look at her and said with a faint smile, "Do you think I can't carry you?" Su Yin. Although it was the truth when it came from his mouth, it sounded like he was complaining that she was fat. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 535. In the end, Su Yin couldn't persuade Huo Qinhuan. She stretched out her arms and hung from his arms to his back. "If you're tired, follow me. I can walk on my own." There were hundreds of steps behind her. If she was too tired and her legs went soft, it would be no joke. "Don't worry. With your weight, another one won't be a problem." Su Yin. She suspected that he was bluffing, but she didn't have any evidence. The mountain was particularly quiet at night, especially when there weren't many people around. Only the chirping of birds and insects could be heard, which calmed people's restless mood. Su Yin leaned on Huo Qinhuan's shoulder and looked at the steps that extended to the top of the mountain. She seemed to have thought of something and laughed out loud. Huo Qinhuan immediately noticed and asked in a low voice, "What are you laughing at?" "I thought of our son." "Son?" Huo Qinhuan raised his eyebrows. "Dun? Yes." Su Yin excitedly shared with Huo Qinhuan the interesting thing that she had discovered recently. "Isn't our Dun short? The stairs in the old house are higher than the stairs in my house. It's easy for it to climb the stairs in my house with its short legs, but it's a bit difficult for it to climb the stairs in the old house. 2 days ago, Uncle Zhang found that it wanted to climb the stairs secretly when we weren't around. In the end, its upper body went up, but its lower body was still struggling at the bottom. It couldn't climb up no matter how hard it tried. Their dog didn't have any skills in climbing stairs. It only knew how to jump. Its upper body would jump up first and its lower body would climb up again. It was fine if the stairs were low, but if the stairs were too high, it was easy to get stuck and its lower body couldn't climb up. Uncle Zhang found it interesting and even took a picture of it. If this silly dog knew that its dark history had been seen by others, it might throw a tantrum and run away from home again. What Su Yiyan didn't know was that while she was talking, a dog that wanted to sneak up the stairs while its owner and dog father weren't at home was unexpectedly stuck halfway up the stairs. His upper body was flat on the steps, and there was nowhere for him to place his penis. His entire body was filled with a melancholy aura, as if he had nothing to live for. Just as it was at a loss for what to do, Roly-Poly, who was on routine patrol, quickly noticed its predicament and hurried forward to rescue it. Detected that the house pet is having difficulty climbing. Activate rescue mode immediately. Roly-Poly's big black eyes flickered a few times. Her round hand moved and with a click, it turned into a claw that was similar to a claw machine. She reached out and picked up a Dun-Dun corgi doll. Dun-Dun? What kind of operation is this? I'm really not a doll. Dun-Dun was still in a daze when he was placed on the ground. After a long while, it finally remembered and barked at Yuan Yuan. Don't think that I'll accept an outsider like you just because you saved me. I'll never give in. Roly-Poly tilted its head. It couldn't understand dog language at all. Dun-Dun saw that Roly-Poly didn't say anything, so it took it as a yes. Its watery eyes swayed and drifted to its round body, then swayed and drifted to its round head. Its eyes lit up slightly. Immediately, it laid flat on Yuan Yuan's round legs and tried to climb up. Unfortunately, Yuan Yuan's exterior was covered with a metal layer. It was slippery and there was no point for it to exert strength on. Dun-Dun couldn't climb halfway up. It was so tired that it collapsed on the ground like a piece of dog biscuit. This is even more tiring than climbing stairs. I just want to take advantage of the fact that the owner isn't home to have some fun upstairs. Why is it so difficult? Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Claw bookstore, for free. Chapter 536. After resting for a while, Dun-Dun still did not give up. It turned around and wanted to climb the stairs again. Roly-Poly, who had been silently watching it from the side, finally understood its intention. It stretched out its claws and picked Dun-Dun up from the ground again and put it on its shoulder. Dun-Dun was caught off guard and lifted into the air again. Its short legs kicked hard and in the next second, it landed accurately on Roly-Poly's shoulder. It was stunned for a moment and looked down at the floor under them. Oh, this was the highest distance it had ever been from the ground other than when its master and father hugged it. However, it was still a little dissatisfied with this geographical position. It turned its head and looked at Roly-Poly's head, which was close at hand. Without thinking, it jumped up again. Because Roly-Poly's surface was too slippery, it almost fell off. In the end, Roly-Poly reached out and poked its butt, pushing it above its head. Dun-Dun, who had successfully climbed on top of its rival's head, felt that it had reached the peak of its life. It barked happily a few times. Cough, seeing that you're so considerate, I'll reluctantly accept you as my little brother. After it barked, it patted Roly-Poly's head with its paws, signaling it to bring it upstairs. Brother, let's go. After countless difficulties and obstacles, the robot and the dog finally succeeded in reaching the second floor and started the adventure. Not far away, Uncle Zhang, who had recorded the entire interaction between the two, ended the shoot with a smile, hiding his achievements and fame. There was one more activity material at home. It was really worth celebrating. However, these two were still too monotonous. He hoped that young master and young madam could work harder and give birth to a grandchild as soon as possible. When the time came, they could play together. Just thinking about it made his heart tremble. Achoo! As if it had sensed Uncle Zhang's sincere prayers, Su Yiyan's nose itched and it could not help but sneeze. Huo Chenhuan immediately became nervous. Did you catch a cold? No, maybe someone is thinking about me. If you feel cold, you have to come with me. Su Yiyan did not feel cold, but it was curious what Huo Chenhuan would do if it felt cold. If I feel cold, will you put on a coat for me like the male lead in the TV series? Huo Chenhuan, who was walking up the stairs, stopped abruptly. Then she continued to walk up. Feel like that's fine too. What do you mean it's fine if I like it? In other words, you didn't intend to do it in the first place. Then what do you want to do? Go back. If you feel cold, we can go back. Su Yiyan? What kind of response was that? If you really feel cold, you should go back. But if you answer like this, it's easy to be alone for the rest of your life. Su Yiyan had a stomach full of complaints, but she didn't know what to say. At that moment, Wuxia Chronicles asked, "Are you cold?" "I'm not cold. I'm very hot right now. I'm going to die from the heat. It wasn't easy for me to climb up here and I didn't see anything up here. Are you telling me to go back now? Don't even think about it." Wuxia Chronicles didn't seem to be surprised by her answer. He chuckled and said, "Hold on a little longer. We're almost there." Su Yiyan? What was she holding on for? She was easily carried up by someone, and she didn't have to exert any strength. Thinking about it this way, Su Yiyan didn't want to complain anymore. She asked softly, "Are you tired? Why don't you put me down? I'll walk on my own." "I'm not tired. I like carrying you like this." He didn't have the chance in the past, but now that he did, he hoped that the road would be longer, and that he could carry her for a while longer. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle is Obviously in Love with My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 537. Su Yiyan blushed, happy and sweet. In order to pretend to be calm, she no longer stared at the front, but turned to look at the woods and the night view under the road fence. This mountain was facing the sea on one side and a city on the other side. Looking down from here, they could almost see the entire city. Thousands of lights converged into a piece, shining like the Milky Way, but more noisy and warm than the Milky Way. Although this place is remote, the scenery is very good. It's just that the traffic is not convenient, otherwise many people would come here to play. But in that case, I'm afraid the environment here can't be protected so well. Wuxia Chronicles heard her silence for a moment and said in a hoarse voice, "This is private property. Without permission, no one is allowed to enter." Private property? Su Yiyan blinked and vaguely realized something. Just as she was about to ask, she was interrupted by Wuxia Chronicles, "We're here." "We're here?" Su Yiyan was shocked and hurriedly poked her head out from behind Wuxia Chronicles to look forward. She was stunned by what she saw. On the open field, there were all kinds of beautiful flowers. Green grass and branches were entwined on the walls and the metal arch bridge. It looked complicated, but it was not complicated. In addition to a large area of carefully trimmed green lawn, there was a pool in the center of the yard. A row of tulips was planted on the edge of the pool. Closer to the pool, one could vaguely see swimming fish. The water in the pool should be spring water from the mountain stream. It gurgled and poured into the pool, then swam along the pool's edge to an unknown place. Under the hazy light and moonlight, the yard was covered with a layer of faint light, looking like a secret garden in a fairy tale. Su Yiyan thought that the manor she saw on the island was beautiful enough, but now seeing this yard, she understood what was called outside cherry blossoms. "Is it beautiful?" "Beautiful, this yard is so beautiful. How did you find this place?" "This is too." Wuxia Chronicles looked at her face, which was difficult to hide the surprised smile, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. "This is the place where my father confessed to my mother?" "Your father and mother?" Su Yiyan suddenly turned to look at Wuxia Chronicles. "Then this mountain, you said it was your private territory just now. It's private property. After my father confessed to my mother, he bought this mountain as a memorial. Then, according to my mother's preferences, he built this place on the mountain." Su Yiyan. "Fine, I'll buy it." As expected, being rich and happy isn't something ordinary people like me can imagine. Although the Su family was considered wealthy, there was still a certain gap between them and a wealthy family like the Wuxia Chronicles family. At the very least, no matter how much her brother or father liked it, they couldn't fork out so much money just to buy this mountain as a souvenir. Not long after this place was completed, my father transferred this yard and this mountain to my mother's name as a wedding gift. As soon as Su Yiyan heard this, he remembered the island and the manor that had been transferred to his name. Su Yiyan. "So, giving your wife a large property when you get married is a custom passed down in your family? If she had a son in the future, wouldn't she have to help her son prepare an island or a mountain for his future wife?" Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 538. Ever since she married into the family Hua, this was the first time Su Yiyan had been struck by the extravagance of a wealthy family. For the first time, she even had the feeling that she had married into a wealthy family. After my parents died, this mountain automatically fell under my name. Now, Hua Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyan with a teasing expression. It's yours. Su Yiyan's body trembled as if she had just woken up from a dream. No, there's no need. I already have the island that you gave me. Your parents left this for you. I can't accept it. Hua Chenhuan looked at her and couldn't help but tease her. Who did it belong to yesterday? Men become bad when they have money. Should I leave my money to you? I'm just giving this mountain to you. Why don't you dare to accept it? I'm not afraid. Just what? It's just that this place means something different to you. It's too valuable. I can't accept it. This place does mean something different to me. That's why I brought you here. As for giving it to you, Hua Chenhuan paused. It's my mother's idea. Your mother's idea? Yes. Hua Chenhuan moved closer to Su Yiyan's ear and smiled faintly. This mountain, this courtyard, and this building are all gifts from my mother to her future daughter-in-law. Unfortunately, she didn't have the time to give it away and left first. You're her daughter-in-law. If you don't accept it, do you want me to give it to someone else? How dare you? If she gave it to someone else, wouldn't she be wearing a green hat? I wouldn't dare. So will you accept it? Su Yiyan, are you telling the truth? You're not lying to me? Su Yiyan was still a little doubtful. How could she just give away such a huge property? Moreover, she didn't even know when it would appear. What if this daughter-in-law didn't please her or was greedy? Why would I lie to you about such things? Hua Chenhuan held her hand. Do you want to go in and take a look? Su Yiyan glanced at the magnificent courtyard. In the end, she couldn't resist the temptation and nodded. Yes. This pond was specially dug by my dad. He liked fishing and my mother liked tulips, so he had people dig this pond and planted a row of tulips on the side. Every summer he would fish here and my mother would cool off by the side. This arch is a pair with the one in the old house. One is black and the other is white. The patterns are the same. Back then, my dad had someone specially design it like this because he wanted to decorate this place as a second home. This swing here was made by my father for my mother. According to my mother, he made it very ugly in the beginning. It was bumpy, uneven on both sides and not stable at all. She didn't like it at all. Later on, my father specially looked for a craftsman and learned for a long time. Only then did he become what he is now. Unfortunately, no matter how good a swing is, it has changed after so many years. Hua Chenhuan touched the rusty swing. His eyes were filled with nostalgia and some suppressed bitterness. Su Yiyan had been by his side the whole time. She silently listened to him introduce the plants and trees here. She knew very well that Hua Chenhuan needed someone to listen to him at this time. In the eyes of others, everything here might just be beautiful scenery that was worth a fortune. However, in his eyes, everything in every corner here contained beautiful memories that belonged solely to him and his family. This was something that could not be bought with money. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 539. Su Yiyan reached out and grabbed Hua Chenhuan's hand, holding the swing rope with him. Your father loves your mother so much, so he must have made a new one for her. Naturally, they won't need this old one. Hua Chenhuan took a deep look at her and chuckled. Yes, my mom left for a while, but she's still worried about half of the people. Even when she's gone, she won't be willing to let her suffer. What? Su Yiyan didn't hear what he said, but she felt that something was wrong. Nothing. Hua Chenhuan shook the swing in his hand. I haven't been here for almost 10 years. It's okay. We can come here more often in the future when we have time. The air on the mountain is good and this place is so beautiful. It's good for your health to come and stay here often. Okay. The flowers and plants in this courtyard were all planted by my parents. Some have withered, but some have spread very quickly. Although they have invited people to come here regularly to repair it, there are still a lot of weeds. If you don't think these flowers look good, I'll get someone to repair them and replace them with flowers and plants that you like. No need. Su Yiyan said without thinking. This is good. These flowers are very beautiful. There's no need to change them. Those that have withered can be cleaned up and replaced with new ones. Su Yiyan knew that Hua Chenhuan said this because he felt that there was no point in leaving these things behind. However, she felt that each of these things were traces of Hua Chenhuan's parents, and it would be a pity to throw them away. Those that had withered couldn't be helped, and those that were still alive could continue to be taken care of. The main theme of the courtyard could be maintained as it was. They only needed to sow new seeds in the barren land, and let the new vitality bring this old courtyard back to the home that once made Hua Chenhuan feel warm. You can decide. I have no objections. Okay. Su Yin's gaze swept across the layout of the courtyard. Although he really wanted to explore this lush courtyard, it was already night time. It was pitch black and had been in disrepair for a long time. Who knew if there were any dangerous things hidden in the depths of the grass? After pondering for a moment, Su Yin decided to take a look inside the house first. Can I go in and take a look? Of course. I asked someone to clean the house this morning, so it shouldn't be too dirty. In the morning? Su Yin immediately grasped the key point. Did you just get someone to clean up this morning? When Huo Chenhuan heard this, a rare look of embarrassment appeared on his face. After Su Yin left in the morning, he immediately posted a request for help online, asking the netizens, "What should I do if I go too far in bed and make my wife unhappy? Was there any way to coax his wife back?" Once the post was posted, there were quite a few people who came over and gave him a lot of suggestions. Of course, most of them came here to drive. The car that drove the fiercest and fastest was the most popular. Whether it was the number of likes or replies, it dominated the rest of the suggestions, leaving all the other suggestions behind. Unfortunately, Huo Chenhuan automatically oversold them and only chose some of the more reserved ones. For example, find a beautiful place to have a romantic date. Watch a movie together to lighten the mood and then have a kiss, hug and raise up high. Buy for your wife. As long as you are willing to spend money to buy more gifts for your wife, you won't be angry for long. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 540. As soon as Huo Chenhuan saw the word gift, he thought of the old house with a large yard that his mother had left behind for his future daughter-in-law. He immediately asked someone to come over and clean the house before Su Yin's class ended. Then he brought someone over. Su Yin saw that he didn't speak, so she didn't continue to ask. She pulled Huo Chenhuan and was about to walk inside, but found that she couldn't move him at all. You. Su Yin turned to look at him doubtfully. Seeing his complicated expression, she suddenly understood his mood and asked tentatively, "Do you want to go in? If you want, I'll go in with you. Otherwise we can walk around outside. This yard and the night view outside are also very beautiful." Huo Chenhuan met her concerned gaze, and his slightly narrowed eyes were a little warmer. He held Su Yin's hand and said, "It's okay. Let's go in. I haven't been here for so many years, and I also want to see what it has become inside." Su Yin carefully looked at his face. Seeing that he didn't show any reluctance, she held Huo Chenhuan's hand tightly and went into the house with him. This villa located on the mountain had a total of 3 floors. The white outer wall looked a little old due to years of disrepair. In addition, some plants and vines in the yard climbed up along the corners of the walls, adding a little green to the snow-white outer wall. The interior of the house looked quite clean, perhaps because it had just been cleaned. However, after so many years of not living here, there was a little more decay and a little less vitality. A beige sofa was placed in the spacious and bright hall, and all kinds of rare murals were hung on the surrounding walls. These murals had people, animals and plants. The only thing they had in common was that their background color was almost all warm. It was obvious that the person who chose them was a very warm person. In addition, there were some beautiful vases. Unfortunately, because no one lived here for many years, there were no fresh decorative flowers in the vases. It looked bare and a little cold. This painting. Su Yin noticed that among the murals on the wall, there was a portrait that was particularly eye-catching. It was a portrait of a woman. The woman in the painting looked to be in her early 30s, mature and intellectual. Her watery eyes looked straight ahead, and the corners of her lips were slightly raised. The arc was not particularly big, but it was enough to make people feel the joy in her heart. Just by looking at this painting, one could feel her gentle temperament and the elegance in her bones, making people unconsciously feel good about her. Huo Chenhuan looked at the painting in a daze for a moment. Only at this moment did he finally realize that no matter how much time had passed, no matter how much he tried to deceive himself and others to forget. Even when he married Su Yin, he deliberately did not think about this place and handed it over to her. In the depths of his heart, this place was different after all. This painting was painted by my father. The person in the painting is my mother. Su Yin had already guessed in her heart. Hearing Huo Chenhuan's words, she could not help but sigh. Your mother is really beautiful and has a good temperament. No wonder your father loves her so much. Huo Chenhuan was amused by her words, and the trace of sadness in his heart dissipated a lot. If my mother heard your words, she would be very happy. No one would not like to be praised, and his mother was no exception. With his mother's temperament, if she was still alive, Huo believed that she would be very satisfied with the daughter-in-law he found for her. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 541. Huo didn't stay in front of the painting for long. Instead, he took Su Yiyan upstairs. The location of this building was rather special. Apart from the side that faced the front yard, the other side faced City A, where one could have a panoramic view of the night view of City A, and the other side faced the sea. Standing in front of the window, one could smell the salty smell of the sea breeze blowing over. Huo took Su Yiyan to visit the room by the sea, and then took her to the other room. As soon as Su Yiyan opened the gauze curtains that had just been replaced, she saw the lights of thousands of houses on the mountain path. However, from this position, it was more condensed and beautiful than on the mountain path. Huo stood behind her, reached out and wrapped his arms around her waist, and held her in his arms. This is my room. The room by the sea that we just went to was my parents' room. These two rooms have the best view in the whole house. They thought that young people like to be lively, so they left this room to me. I think they chose this room because they didn't like to be disturbed. Even if the person who disturbed them was me. Huo said this with some nostalgia and some grievance. Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh. She took the initiative to lean back and chuckled. I don't like to be disturbed either. Think about it. If we were at home, Dun Dun or Yuan or both of them suddenly barged in. Huo. Well, as long as he imagined this scene, his face would turn several shades darker. Su Yiyan naturally noticed his sullen look, and it was difficult for her to hold back her laughter. However, she forgot that she could hold back her laughter, but her body couldn't hide her trembling. Huo looked at her helplessly, but his expression was better. He continued, after my parents passed away, I was afraid to come to this place. I even subconsciously wanted to forget this place. Because of this, he didn't immediately hand this place over to Su Yiyan. Compared to the old mansion, this place was more like his home. It only belonged to him, his parents, and the 3 Raos. As far as he could remember, his parents would take some time out every year to bring him here. At first, he would bring along Huo Xiaofeng. Later, no one knew what Huo Qihan and his wife said to him, but that guy never came again. Regarding this, Huo was secretly delighted. He didn't like Huo Qihan's family, especially Huo Xiaofeng and his nominal sister-in-law. If he didn't come, this place would completely become their territory. In this place he had spent the best part of his youth. But in the end, everything was ruined. When Su Yiyan heard his words, she subconsciously tightened her grip on his hand. Her eyes were filled with heartache. Her man originally had a harmonious and happy family. His family was wealthy and his parents were loving. With such a family atmosphere, the children raised should be full of hope for the future. But in his previous life, he was like an old woman with one foot in the grave. He was rotten, twisted, and even crazy. Su Yiyan lowered her eyes to hide the sadness and heartache in her eyes. She comforted him in a low voice, "It's all in the past. Now you have me. In the future there will be more people." "Okay," Huo responded in a low voice. "Yin, yes? I only have you. Don't leave me." Su Yiyan's heart suddenly trembled. Without thinking, she said, "As long as you still need me, I will never leave." Chapter 542. The tens of thousands of lights outside the window were like shining stars, twinkling to show their vitality. The night breeze blew through the trees in the forest, rustling the leaves and the gauze curtains by the window. Under the dense light, 2 figures could be vaguely seen getting closer and closer until they were inseparable. The next morning, the 2 of them woke up early and returned to the family Hua. They thought that the family members would still be asleep at this time, but when they walked into the living room, they bumped into Uncle Zhang, who was holding Dun Dun and standing not too far away with a smile. "Uncle Zhang? Young master, young madam?" Uncle Zhang looked at the 2 sneaky people, and the smile on his face deepened. "Last night, the 2 of you," Su Yiyan was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. "Nothing happened last night. We didn't meet anyone." Uncle Zhang glanced at the red marks on Su Yiyan's neck, but he didn't expose her. He smiled and said, "Young master and young madam are both adults. It's not a big deal if you don't go home at night. It's just that there are all kinds of people out there. It's not like home. Young master and young madam should be more careful. It's getting late." Young master and young madam should go upstairs and change. I'll supervise the kitchen and have them prepare breakfast as soon as possible. The two of them were like students who had been caught skipping class by the discipline master. They nodded obediently and hurriedly said, "Thank you for your hard work. We'll go up right away." Uncle Zhang looked at the two people who were fleeing in panic. His smiling eyes were full of understanding that he could not see through them. Ever since young madam married into the family Hua, the house had become much livelier. Now that young master's leg had recovered, he was a little livelier because of her. Was good. Young people should be more energetic. How could they be so lifeless? Su Yiyan went to Dongqing City after a simple breakfast. As soon as she got out of the car, she bumped into Ling Xiaoqi, who was also coming to work. Tsk. Women are indeed different after having a man. Look at your rosy face. It's just missing the words "I'm very nourished" written on your forehead. What are you talking about? Su Yiyan flew into a rage out of humiliation. She pounced on her and was about to tear her mouth open. Ling Xiaoqi was already prepared. She quickly dodged to the side to avoid Su Yiyan's sneak attack. You're anxious. Ah. Su Yiyan's attack missed. Gnashing his teeth, he said, "If you do it again, believe it or not, I'll send Dun Dun to your house tonight. Who knows, maybe next month your Hua Hua will be pregnant." Ling Xiaoqi's laughter stopped abruptly. She looked at Su Yiyan in disbelief. "Are you a devil? Our Hua Hua is still a baby." Su Yiyan took advantage of her stupor and pinched her face. "You're laughing at me. Am I not a devil? This is called giving him a taste of his own medicine." Fong. Ling Xiaoqi's face was pinched. She couldn't speak clearly and could only glare at Su Yiyan angrily. Su Yiyan vented his anger and quickly let go of her. "You're so cruel. My face is red because of you." Ling Xiaoqi rubbed the red marks on her face and glared at Su Yiyan indignantly. Su Yiyan glanced at her and couldn't help but poke the two red marks. He smiled and said, "Fortunately, I pinched both sides just now. One left and one right is symmetrical. If I only pinched one side, wouldn't I be killing someone with OCD?" Ling Xiaoqi. That's too much. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 543. Ling Xiaoqi saw that she couldn't win over Su Yiyan. She rubbed her face with both hands, snorted and turned to leave. Su Yiyan saw this and hurried forward to hold her hand. She smiled apologetically and said, "Are you really angry? Do you know what you did wrong? Did I pinch you too hard just now?" Ling Xiaoqi rolled her eyes and said, "I was wrong just now? Have you been having a good time recently?" "No, you're right. She had been having a good time recently. Cough cough. You're right and you pinched me. Su Yiyan. Fine, she was in the wrong." "Well, is it that obvious?" Su Yiyan was a little embarrassed. Ling Xiaoqi rolled her eyes and poked her forehead. "It's written all over your face. How can it not be obvious?" Su Yiyan touched the spot where she was poked and laughed foolishly. Ling Xiaoqi choked and stopped in her tracks. She turned around and looked at Su Yiyan with disappointment. "Do you smell something on me?" "What smell?" Su Yiyan subconsciously leaned over and sniffed. "There's no smell. The fragrance of a single dog. It's completely different from a flirtatious bitch like you who reeks of love." Ling Xiaoqi waved her hand and continued to walk forward. Su Yiyan finally realized what Ling Xiaoqi meant. She quickly stepped forward and bumped into her. She said with a half smile, "Jealous? Jealous my ass. Being single makes me happy. I've been with you for a long time. I can introduce you to my brother. My brother is a good man who can't be found anywhere. If you don't make an appointment now, in a year or two he might end up in the hands of some demon." "How much do you want me to be your sister-in-law?" Su Yiyan made a gesture. "Just a little bit. But if you're willing, you can develop this little bit into a vast ocean. After all, we should keep the goodies within the family." Ling Xiaoqi. So, this fat water was referring to her or a certain someone's big brother. Ling Xiaoqi and Su Yiyan parted ways before they entered the entrance. They belonged to different departments and walked in different directions. Just as she sat down at her desk, Xia Junxing came looking for her. "Yayan about Rui." Xia Junxing's words were stuck in his throat. He stared at her in shock as if he had seen a ghost. Su Yiyan looked up at him doubtfully. "What's wrong with Rui?" "Yayan you." Xia Junxing reached out and pointed at a certain spot on his neck. Su Yiyan suddenly had an ominous premonition. He took out a mirror and looked at his side. Sure enough, he saw that there was a "Damn Ling Xiaoqi" what was written on her face. She obviously saw this thing on her body, but she didn't tell her. Xia Junxing looked at his boss's gloomy face that could rain at any time and silently lit a candle for the unknown President Hua in his heart. Cough. I didn't see anything. As for Ruei, the acquisition matters have been completed. Do you want to send someone to manage it or simply merge it and let it become a subsidiary of Dongqing City? Let's merge it directly. Have you checked those senior executives, artists and agents? Yes, most of the senior executives of Ruei are in prison because of tax evasion. The rest of them realized that something was wrong, so they sold their shares and ran away. The rest of them have no real power and are more well-behaved. Okay. Su Yiyan nodded. What about Luo Weibing's former agent? Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 544. That agent originally clung to a senior executive of Ruei. As soon as the senior executive stepped in, he ran away. Su Yiyan twisted his eyebrows and his face was a little ugly. Did he run away? Luo Weibing, the former agent, was a living troublemaker. He bullied the weak and was afraid of the strong. Luo Weibing was tortured by him in the early years. After he became popular, he licked him again. It was a pity that Luo Weibing had seen what this person was like at that time. Although he didn't replace him, he was not very close to him. This person held a grudge, and Luo Weibing insisted on not renewing the contract. He was scolded by the senior executives of the company. He counted all these things on Luo Weibing's head and became more and more resentful. He boasted that he had discovered Luo Weibing and brought him into the entertainment circle. He was grateful to him. He believed that Luo Weibing's actions were ungrateful, so he wanted revenge. The so-called scandals between Luo Weibing and Su Yiyan, as well as the scandals about Luo Weibing's acting as a big shot and sexual harassment, were mostly caused by him. It happened that the senior executives of the company were also very dissatisfied with Luo Weibing's refusal to renew the contract. They wanted to mess with him, so they colluded with each other and made those dirty things. Even if Luo Weibing, the former agent, was not able to be a mastermind, he must be the biggest accomplice. He just let him run away. Su Yiyan was really angry. He didn't run away. Xia Junxing obviously thought so. This person didn't get along with Luo Weibing. He had several artists under him. In addition, he had a close relationship with a senior executive of the company and secretly helped him do a lot of unforgivable things. After the senior executive was arrested, the people over there had been eyeing him. He wanted to run away, but he was caught as soon as he ran out of the door. Puff. Su Yiyan couldn't help laughing. It's good to catch him. Since he is involved with the senior executives, he should not be able to come out in a short time. Even if he comes out, some people will trouble him. It's safer to stay inside. Su Yiyan heard his implication and didn't continue to talk about this person. What about the artists of their company? Does anyone want to leave? Yes. Some of them want to leave while others want to stay. Investigate the background of these rows. The good ones can be focused on nurturing. They can be compared to the standards of our company's rows, so there's no need to treat them differently. Those with evil intentions would either terminate their contracts or freeze them. Be careful not to let them cause any trouble. If you want to leave peacefully, you can terminate the contract peacefully. If you have bad intentions, you don't have to be polite to them. When Xia Junxing heard Su Yiyan's words, he roughly understood her attitude towards Ruei. He nodded and said, I understand. I will send someone to take over as soon as possible. Also, anything else? It's about our company's key IP plans. Su Yiyan was stunned. Only then did she remember that she had been inspired by the movie Fantasy Feast, which was about to be made into a movie of the same name. Therefore, she had urgently acquired several network IPs with more potential. After preparing for a few years, they would spend a lot of money to focus on building these IPs and use them to make more pillars like Luo Weibing and Shui Kaiwei popular. These acquired IPs covered a wide range of genres, including original works, radio dramas and even comics. The story backgrounds were modern, ancient, future interstellar, apocalyptic zombies, gods and demons. Su Yiyan pondered for a moment. I remember that among the several proposals you presented to me before, one was a comic adaptation, and the other two were all adaptations. The latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Ming Loves My Joie bookstore was free to read. Chapter 545. These three were the most popular IP on the internet and had a larger audience. Among them, the comic was mainly about some funny stories, mixed with weird fantasy elements. If it was filmed well, it could become a hit even as a web drama. This kind of drama was most suitable for supporting newcomers. After all, newcomers might not have particularly good acting skills, but they had the advantage of being flexible. Once the character's spirit was shown, it would be easy for people to remember. What was the entertainment industry most afraid of? It was that people could not remember your face. As an actor, whether it was the protagonist or the villain, as long as the audience remembered your face, you would have succeeded. The other two IPs were adaptations. One was a modern drama about love and hate, and the other was an ancient drama about Peking opera. Over the years, with the stability of life after the migration, people became more and more respectful of the restoration of ancient culture. Many ancient dramas were born. Unfortunately, due to the loss of ancient culture in the real world, most of the dramas were like dogs instead of tigers. A lot of idle dramas with ancient culture were filmed with huge sums of money, but there were not many that could really become popular. One of the main reasons why Su Yian picked this IP at first glance was that the author who wrote it had a good understanding of ancient culture and could be considered a professional. He was not just writing nonsense under the banner of ancient culture without any basis. Another reason was that when the system was upgraded, a picture book that had nothing to do with medicine had dropped from the upgrade treasure chest. It was about Peking opera. With this skill book and some professionals, Su Yian was willing to take a gamble on this IP. What's wrong with these IPs? Not enough funds? No, we have enough funds. Someone wants to work with us. Work with us. Su Yian raised her eyebrows. There were many roles in a drama. Even if it was a drama that was used to promote their company's art, it was impossible to use people from their own company. Which one of these three are they interested in? It's love and hate. Love and hate was the modern IP. Su Yian was a little surprised. In her opinion, the one with the most potential among the three IPs should be the drama about Peking opera. But on second thought, the subject matter of this drama was more sensitive, and it was a serious drama. In the eyes of outsiders, the chances of a failure were much higher than a success. It was understandable that they were unwilling to take this risk. Which company are they from? Jueying. Jueying? Because she had accepted Dongqing, Su Yian also tried to understand the entertainment companies in the industry. This Jueying company was about the same size as their company. It was a new company that was developing quite well. It did not have many artists under it, but their potential was not bad. What are their conditions? They want the roles of the first male lead and second female lead. In exchange, they can invest 10 million yuan. 10 million was not a small amount. Modern dramas did not need to simulate the background, and the makeup and costumes did not need to be too exquisite. The initial investment was lower than other types of dramas. The fact that Jueying was willing to fork out such a sum of money for these two characters could be considered very sincere. Yes, but you have to audition and the director is satisfied. In addition, whether it was an artiste in the company or an outsider, they were not allowed to change or add scenes after the script was set. The details can be discussed. If anyone dares to casually add scenes and cause the main plot and other characters to collapse, they should get out of here as soon as possible. Let them add this point into the contract. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Ming Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 546. Okay. Xia Junxing noted down Su Yian's request and breathed a sigh of relief. If there's nothing else, I'll go out first. Wait. Xia Junxing looked puzzled. Is there anything else? Is the first draft of Fantasy Feast ready? Not yet. It's an original script. Although it's related to the game, it can't completely copy the background story of the game. The scriptwriter is still negotiating with the game designer. The first draft may take a month to be completed. Don't worry. Let them show me the first draft when they're done. Although Xia Junxing didn't understand why Su Yian was interested in the script, he still obeyed. Okay. After briefly discussing the internal affairs of the company with Xia Junxing, Su Yian couldn't help but think of Huo Qinhuan when she was free. What was he doing now? Was he at home or out? Where could he have gone? After absent-mindedly reviewing the documents for a long time, Su Yian couldn't help but take the initiative to call Huo Qinhuan. Yin. As soon as she heard Huo Qinhuan's voice, Su Yian couldn't help but smile. Yes, where are you now? Listening to his wife's soft voice, Huo Qinhuan's face unconsciously softened. The company's executives who were waiting for the meeting, looked as if they had seen a ghost. Some of the smarter ones subconsciously looked at Gu Xiaoyang and the others, who were sitting not far from Hua Chenhuan, and looked at them inquisitively. Gu Xiaoyang and the others knew what they were thinking. When they saw this scene for the first time, their surprise was no less than theirs. In the face of several inquiries, Yu Zian silently said the word, "Madam," to his trusted subordinates. When the subordinates saw his mouth, they immediately understood. It turned out to be "Madam." No wonder the boss suddenly changed his attitude. If it were them, they would also, forget it. If they coveted "Madam," they would be beaten to death by the boss. Hua Chenhuan didn't notice the actions of the subordinates. She smiled faintly and replied, "At the company." "The company? You went to the company? Which company is it?" "Fantasy headquarters." "Fantasy?" Su Yiyin mulled over the name of the company, and it took him a while to remember. This seemed to be the headquarters of several companies under Hua Chenhuan's name. Zui Yanbai, Gu Xiaoyang, and Yu Zian were all subsidiaries of this company. Since Hua Chenhuan didn't show up in the company all year round, the headquarters adopted a rotation system. Basically, one person was in charge for a month and a quarter was a cycle. Thinking of this, he suddenly felt that the three of them were quite pitiful. They had been squeezed dry in all sorts of ways, and they wished that they could take turns working 360 plus times a year. The three of them. "I feel wronged, but I won't cry." "Are you alone? Is the company environment good? Will you feel uncomfortable going to the company for the first time? Do the employees in the company treat you well?" Hua Chenhuan listened to Su Yiyan's words, which were full of concern and worry. The smile in her eyes deepened. After she finished speaking, she reminded in a low voice, "Yin, I'm the boss of the company." He was the boss of the company. Before, when he didn't come to the company, no one dared to ignore him, let alone now that he personally came to the company to work. After Su Yiyin finished speaking, she realized that she had asked a few silly questions. Her face turned red and she didn't say anything. Seeing that she didn't say anything, Hua Chenhuan roughly guessed her thoughts. She took the initiative to change the topic. "You called me at this time. Do you miss me?" Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 547. Only then did Su Yiyin remember the main reason why he called Hua Chenhuan. However, he still subconsciously retorted, "No. You didn't miss me?" Su Yiyin was at a loss for words. "Then that means you missed me." Su Yiyin. "Although you're not wrong, why do these words sound so shameless coming out of your mouth?" I missed you too." Su Yiyin's rebuttal was immediately defeated by someone's greasy confession. He felt depressed but also a little sweet at the same time. Su Yiyin, who was continuously teased, gave up struggling. He decisively skipped the question of who missed who and went straight to the point. "Well, I called you because I want to." "What?" "In order to thank you for bringing me to such a beautiful place last night and giving me such a beautiful courtyard, I'll allow you to order food tonight. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What do you want to eat? Hurry up, I'll change my mind if you're late." "Order food." Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed. "Anything? As long as it's something I know how to do, anything is fine." Hua Chenhuan was silent for a while and said hoarsely, "I don't feel like eating tonight." This answer was unexpected by Su Yiyin. "Why do you suddenly not feel like eating? Are you not feeling well? Have no appetite?" Before Su Yiyin could finish asking, a faint voice came from the other end of the phone. "I want to eat you." "Su Yiyin? Everyone? Where am I? Where am I? Will I still be alive after today?" Su Yiyin's face turned red and he exploded on the spot. "I suspect that you're driving and I have evidence." "Oh." Hua Chenhuan's expression was strange. His tone was so calm that it made people want to beat him up. "Do you want to get in the car? I'll take you for a ride." Everyone was completely dazed. "Car? What car? What were they talking about?" It was too profound and they couldn't understand it. Yes, they couldn't understand it. Su Yiyin was burning up. She resisted the urge to hang up the phone and complained, "I'm being serious with you. What do you want to eat?" "No, I'll make the decision myself." Hua Chenhuan could tell that Su Yiyin was about to explode. She chuckled and said, "I want to eat sweet and sour yen, braised yen, fried yen." "Oh, forget it, let's just steam yen. The original flavor is the best." Su Yiyin, everyone. What the F***ck did boss and madam know how to play at home? Su Yiyin's mind went blank. In the end she still exploded. Eat. If I don't kill you, you don't have to eat tonight. After shouting, she didn't wait for Huo Chenhuan's reaction and directly hung up the phone. Huo Chenhuan was yelled at by his wife, but not only was he not angry, he even seemed a little happy. The smile on his face made everyone's hair stand on end. When he came back to his senses from teasing his wife, he finally remembered the room full of pitiful people who had been forgotten. Then, everyone was lucky enough to see their big boss change his expression on the spot. A few minutes ago, he was like a spring breeze, gently confessing to his wife and secretly flirting with her. Now, he was like the autumn wind sweeping the fallen leaves in front of them. Cold. No. Feelings. Huo Chenhuan's sharp gaze swept across everyone present. He said with a faint smile, "What did you see and hear just now?" Everyone. *CK This is a suicide question. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Clearly Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 548. In the end, Zui Yanbai was the first to break the silence and lead everyone in the room to save themselves. Ahem, we didn't see or hear anything just now. The others seemed to have woken up from a dream and hurriedly echoed, yes, we didn't see or hear anything. They didn't see their boss's gentleness and sweetness towards his wife, and they didn't hear their boss flirting with her husband. They were all blind and deaf today. So, boss, please spare our lives. Huo Chenhuan glanced at the trembling crowd and mercifully asked, "Where were you just now?" Zui Yanbai and the others felt as if they had been pardoned. They hurriedly winked at the department head who had reported on their work and asked him to quickly continue the conversation. Although the gossip between the young master and the young master was exciting, it would be fatal if one watched too much. Su Yiyan was fierce with his words, but he had a sharp tongue and a soft heart. He couldn't bear to let him go hungry. As soon as he got home, he ran to the kitchen and gave some benefits to his fans in the live broadcast room. Recently I've been feeling hot, so I've been feeling heaty. My appetite hasn't been very good either. So today I'll bring some medicinal cuisine and home-cooked dishes to clear away heatiness and improve your appetite. Huo Chenhuan had just clicked into the live broadcast room when he heard these two sentences. He seriously suspected that these things to reduce heatiness were specially prepared for him. After all, he had been heaty recently. Before he could think further, the screen of the live broadcast room was already flooded with comments from the audience. Recently I've been really heaty. Once I'm heaty I feel irritated. My mouth is bitter and I have no appetite at all. Sob. Upstairs you only have a bitter mouth. I'm the one who's really miserable. I have several bumps in my mouth. After they break I feel so sore. Shaking hands with upstairs, I have bumps in my mouth when I'm heaty. Not only in my mouth but also on my face. It's so infuriating. Not only do I have bumps in my mouth but my teeth also hurt. The flesh under my teeth is swollen and soft. It feels like it'll break at any time. It's really torturous. Generally speaking, there are 4 types of heatiness: liver fire, heart fire, lung fire, and stomach fire. If one felt bitter in the mouth, it was usually due to excessive liver fire. If there was a bump in the mouth, it was due to excessive heart fire. There are many reasons for excessive internal heat. Other than anger, you usually stay up late and drink too little water, so it's easy to get excessive internal heat. Since it was relatively hot, Su Yiyan mostly prepared cool and sweet soups: longan, lotus seed soup, wolfberry, and white fungus soup. Then he used a ball-digging tool to dig out a watermelon cup and used the ready-made watermelon skin to carve an exquisite pattern. It was supposed to be a very simple ingredient, but after she made it, it suddenly became a beautiful and exquisite after-meal fruit. Su Yiyan mostly chose dishes that were appetizing, calming, and protecting the liver and kidneys. Dongpa tofu and asparagus with straw mushrooms were vegetarian dishes that tasted lighter. The heaviest dish should be the fried pork kidney in soy sauce. The smell of pork kidney was quite strong, and if it was not handled well, the smell alone was enough to dissuade most people. Su Yiyan first removed the tendons in the pork kidney, then soaked it in water. After that, she soaked it in cooking wine to remove the smell. Then she added hot oil and stir-fried it. In addition, she also needed to add seasonings such as scallions and ginger to remove the smell. Then she mixed in some refreshing cucumbers and fungus. A fresh and tender fried pork kidney in soy sauce was done. Chapter 549. Everyone was very curious about this dish. When Su Yiyan first took out the pork loin, many viewers in the live stream subconsciously frowned. The taste of the pork loin was very impactful to most people. Even if the tendons were removed and stewed, the smell would linger for a long time. Now that the dish was ready, although everyone was curious, they did not dare to try it. It was not until the first batch of curious people came out to share their thoughts that people started to try it. When the host first took out the pork loin, the smell almost made me give up. I didn't expect it to be so tender and delicious after cooking. The previous smell is all gone. It's true. I didn't dare to eat this at first. I always felt that the smell was not clean. When I saw other comments, I tasted it out of curiosity. I kind of fell in love with the taste. Sure enough, no matter what it is in the host's hands, it changes greatly. The fish is no longer fishy and the mutton is no longer smelly. Now this pork loin is the same. Paired with the crispy and sweet cucumber, it's super delicious. It's soft and crispy. The texture is a little strange, but it's really delicious. After hearing your words, I want to eat it too. I'm salivating too. Su Yiyan took some time to glance at the screen. Seeing that most people were not repulsed by the taste of the pork loin, she felt relieved and turned to prepare the next dish, chrysanthemum sea base. The so-called chrysanthemum sea base was made by cutting the base meat into the shape of a chrysanthemum, marinating it with cooking wine, wrapping it in corn flour and frying it in a wok. From afar, it looked like a blooming chrysanthemum. When the dish was placed on a plate, a few pieces of cooked green vegetables were placed on the bottom of the plate. The dish was like a scene. Every time people saw it, they could not help but admire the exquisite craftsmanship of the chef and the unique characteristics of the dish. When cooking this dish, a little lemon juice can be added to remove the fishy smell and freshen it up. It has an appetizing effect. However, because it's fried food, viewers with blisters on their mouths should not eat too much. It's okay. The food tasting in the live stream will not affect reality. Thank you again for inventing the virtual simulator. I can taste all kinds of delicious food and not be afraid of eating too much. After hearing what you said, my resentment of not being able to eat the ingredients made by the host in reality suddenly disappeared. Although what you said makes sense, it's even more unbearable to find that your stomach is still empty after eating. Sob, the dishes made by the streamer always arouse my appetite. Even if it makes me heady, I still want to eat it. Please pick me later. Su Yiyan looked at the various complaints on the screen and smiled. It was nothing. She glanced at the dishes on the table and felt that it was still a little too little, so she added a dish of braised bamboo shoots and green bean lotus root. The mung bean lotus root was actually made by replacing the glutinous rice in the rock sugar and glutinous rice lotus root with mung beans that could cool down the heat. The lotus root was cut into slices with mung beans inlaid in the middle. With one bite, it had both the sweetness of rock sugar and the freshness of mung beans. The crisp texture of the lotus root paired with the sticky mung beans was quite popular among the audience who liked sweet food. After the live broadcast ended, Su Yiyan called for a few chefs to help take the few dishes in the kitchen out with Tang Du. Unexpectedly, as soon as he walked out of the kitchen, he saw the family of 3 uninvited guests sitting opposite Hu Chenhuan in the living room. Chapter 550. Strictly speaking, they could not be considered uninvited guests. The person who came was old Master Jiang, who had come to ask for help. Beside him was a girl who looked about 20 years old and was sitting in a wheelchair. She should be his eldest granddaughter who had been harmed by her scumbag father. Beside the girl was a non-mainstream teenager who was a few years older than her. He had green hair on his head, and the powder on his face could probably be used to paint a wall. His exaggerated smoky makeup and unruly expression made him look like a Chinibu no matter how one looked at him. The non-mainstream teenager was stunned when he glanced at Su Yiyan. Then, there was a little more inquiry and suspicion in his eyes. Su Yiyan did not care what this person was thinking. She asked in confusion, "Why are you here at this time?" If she remembered correctly, the appointment with old Master Jiang should be at 9 o'clock, right? It was only 7 o'clock. More than an hour earlier? Old Master Jiang was also a little embarrassed when he heard that. When he saw Hu Chenhuan stand up again that day, he had been in a state of extreme excitement and had not slept well for several nights. Su Yiyan would bring her over next week when she was free, so he called on Monday to ask. They had made an appointment to come at 9 o'clock in the evening, but they were afraid that Su Yiyan would have a bad impression of them if they were late, so they always wanted to come early. In the end, they came more than an hour earlier. That was not all. Before they came, they did not expect Su Yiyan's dinner time to be so late. It was almost midnight and they were only about to start eating. They came just in time for dinner. No matter how one looked at it, they seemed to have come specially to ask for help. Su Yiyan saw old Master Jiang's embarrassment and then looked at Sister Jiang, who was quiet and curious not far away. She breathed a sigh of relief. She could understand his feelings. Back then she was also focused on gaining more favorability points and leveling up quickly so that Huo Chenhuan could stand up earlier. Her hopeless life suddenly had a glimmer of hope. Even if she had to crawl, she hoped to grab it as soon as possible. With this trace of sympathy, Su Yiyan's heart softened a little. You came so early. You probably haven't eaten yet, right? Why don't you eat together? Old Master Jiang was slightly stunned and subconsciously said, No, we. Goo. The loud and clear voice reverberated in the room, and the atmosphere between the few people became subtle in an instant. In the end, Su Yiyan was the first to break the silence. She laughed and said, Since you're already here, there's no need to be polite. I just made a few extra dishes tonight. It would be a waste if we can't finish them. If you don't mind, why don't you join us? Old Master Jiang smiled awkwardly. Then I'll accept your offer. Behind him, young Master Jiang, the culprit of the cooing just now, patted his disobedient stomach in disappointment. He wished he could dig a hole and bury himself in it, leaving only his green head exposed. It was too embarrassing. He had just drunk a bottle of nutrient solution before coming here, so he shouldn't be hungry now. Just because he smelled the aroma of food in someone else's kitchen, he actually cried out. What a disgrace. This young master insisted on coming over because he was worried that his grandfather would be deceived. Instead of going to the hospital, he insisted on coming to someone's home for treatment. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't sound reliable. Along the way, the young master was nervous, thinking that he would turn into a microscope and expose the true face of the liar. In the end, he died before he could succeed. This made the young master, who was still in his youth, deflate like a balloon that had been pricked by a needle. Chapter 551. Huo Chenhuan was already displeased with this group of people who had suddenly barged in and disturbed his and his wife's dinner time. When he heard Su Yiyan inviting them to have dinner together, his face sank and he was very reluctant. Su Yiyan immediately saw through his thoughts. She took the initiative to take his hand and said, Let's go. It's time to eat. I specially made some delicious new dishes today. If you don't eat them, they will be gone in a while. Huo Chenhuan was instantly persuaded. Those dishes were clearly prepared for him. Why should these outsiders take advantage of them? He had to eat more later. Sister Jiang was surprised to see the two of them interacting. She then stared unblinkingly at Huo Chenhuan. To be precise, she stared at Huo Chenhuan's recovered legs. Her eyes lit up. They had actually recovered. Grandfather Jiang and Huo Chenhuan's father were old friends. Because of this relationship, Jiang Qingrun had seen Huo Chenhuan when she was very young. She even affectionately called him Uncle Hua. She was only 10 years old when the family Hua's accident happened. She only remembered that her grandfather had a frown on his face as though he had encountered some difficulties. Later, she found out that the kind-hearted couple had passed away. Their company had been taken over by the annoying Uncle Hua, and the good-looking Uncle Hua had been paralyzed in an accident. He would never be able to walk upright for the rest of his life. At the time, she didn't understand what this meant. She secretly asked her grandfather if he could take her to see Uncle Hua. Jiang Qingrun still remembered the look in her grandfather's eyes when he looked at her. A few years later, she gradually realized that his eyes were full of guilt. When his old friend's son needed help the most, he chose to play it safe in order to protect their family. Although it was understandable, he felt guilty toward his old friend. At the time, he probably never imagined that a few years later, his biological granddaughter would become one of these unfortunate people. Jiang Qingrun looked at the old man who had aged a lot in the past few years and took the initiative to reach out and hold his hand. She couldn't help but recall the time when she had just gotten into an accident. Every night, the old man would secretly wipe his tears beside the sickbed. He would repent in a low voice after thinking that she was asleep, thinking that all of this was retribution for his selfishness back then. Jiang Qingrun didn't think it was karma. Even though she was her grandfather's granddaughter, her grandfather did that for her and her brother. Now that this retribution fell on her, she deserved it. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Grandpa, let's go. Old Master Jiang looked at his granddaughter, his eyes slightly red. He responded in a low voice and pushed her over. She didn't expect that someone would come back to eat at her house. Su Yiyan basically made dishes that were suitable for Huo Chenhuan's physique and taste. Chenhuan has been rather hot-tempered recently, so his dinner is rather bland. I don't know if it's to your liking. Huan. Sure enough, these dishes to cool down were prepared for him. Rather hot-tempered? Grandpa and Grandpa San Rao's eyes fell on Huan at the same time with subtle expressions. Especially young Master Jiang Qingwang, he carefully looked up and down at Huan, as if looking for proof of his hot-tempered nature. He was afraid that he would suddenly fly into a rage while eating and spit out a mouthful of fire. If Huan knew what he was thinking, he would probably be unable to help but swear on the spot. He was hot-tempered, but he wasn't a fire-breathing dragon. Spit your sister's fire. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 552. Old Master Jiang was stunned for a few seconds before he realized that Su Yiyan was vaguely showing off her love for him. He coughed softly, unable to adapt to the young man's rhythm. Sister Su, you're too polite. It's too presumptuous of us to come uninvited. Jiang Qingwang tried his best to shift his gaze away from Huan and the table. He said tentatively, well, my sister's leg, let's eat first. We'll talk after eating. Yes. Let's eat first. How can we be energetic if we don't eat? We'll talk about other things after we finish eating. Jiang Qingwang received his grandfather's warning gaze. He held his breath in his chest and couldn't get it out. He increasingly felt that his grandfather had been deceived. This person didn't answer because she was stalling for time. That's right, that's it. He had already seen through this person deliberately using eating to stall for time. Moreover, these things didn't look very delicious. He would never eat them. Jiang Qingwang thought that he had discovered the truth and was full of resistance to the dishes on the table. However, this resistance was soon defeated by the expressions of enjoyment on the others' faces and the aroma of the dishes that kept wafting into his nose. These dishes didn't look special. Why did they smell so good? Then he thought about it again. Maybe they only smelled good but didn't taste good. Why don't I give it a try? Jiang Qingwang prepared himself mentally. Finally, he picked up his chopsticks and put a piece of bamboo shoot into his mouth. The fresh spring bamboo shoots were sweet and salty. They were crispy, sweet, and refreshing in the mouth. It seemed that he could even taste a trace of game unique to the mountains. By the time Jiang Qingwang reacted, his chopsticks had already involuntarily reached for the other dishes. His heart, which was originally very resistant to these dishes, had betrayed him on the spot. Su Yiyan didn't know that someone had performed a live performance of smelling good right under her nose. She was being polite by inviting old Master Jiang and the others to eat together. However, these people weren't guests that she had specially invited. Su Yiyan didn't show too much enthusiasm. She sat at the table and ate while supervising Huan to eat the soup and dishes that she had specially made to cool down the heat. You've been having a lot of internal heat recently. This soup is specially brewed for you. It's good for clearing internal heat, replenishing energy and calming nerves. Drink more. Su Yiyan specially scooped a bowl of longan lotus seed soup and placed it in front of Huan. When old Master Jiang and the others who were sitting opposite them saw this scene, they were in a trance and sighed. You two have such a good relationship. It wasn't like the rumors outside that it was just a business marriage and a relationship of interest. Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment. She blushed slightly. I'm sorry for making you laugh. Qin Huan's health had deteriorated a lot because of his legs. Although I'm fine now, I still need to recuperate for a while before I can feel at ease. Of course. Although old Master Jiang said that, in his heart, he was thinking about when his granddaughter would get better, so that he could have a chance to help her recuperate. Hopefully this day will come, and hopefully this day will come sooner. When Huan heard Su Yiyan's words, the corners of her mouth raised slightly. The depression of their world being disturbed finally dissipated a lot. But soon this smile froze and her eyes narrowed dangerously. When Jiang Qingwang heard Su Yiyan and Huan's words, although he knew that it was impolite, his eyes still drifted unconsciously to the longan lotus seed soup, and his hand was eager to reach out. Unfortunately, before his hand could touch the bowl of soup, a sharp gaze slashed at him. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 553. Jiang Qingwang's whole body stiffened. He met Huan's cold gaze and his wrist suddenly felt cold. He always felt that if he really stretched out his hand, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to see the sun again. Forget it. Food was precious but life was more valuable. He couldn't afford to offend her. After successfully forcing the little puppy who dared to steal food from the tiger's mouth with his eyes, Hu Chenhuan was in a good mood. He drank the bowl of lotus seed soup that Su Yiyan gave him quite straightforwardly. Su Yiyan saw everything. She only felt that it was funny, but she didn't expose him. After the five of them had dinner, they took a short break and got to the point. Su Yiyan first tried to touch Jiang Qingruan's legs like when she treated Hu Chenhuan before. The answer she got was similar to when she asked Hu Chenhuan that day. Su Yiyan frowned, got up and said, "Go to the guest room." Although they didn't know what she was going to do, they still did as she said and pushed Jiang Qingrun into the guest room downstairs. "Put her on the bed and lie down." "I'll do it." Jiang Qingwang immediately volunteered when he heard this. Su Yiyan couldn't help laughing. "If you don't do it, who will?" There were only 3 men in the room. Old Master Jiang was old. Not to mention carrying someone, he would be worried even if he bumped into someone. Her husband didn't like to touch other women except her. Even if he was willing, Su Yiyan wouldn't be willing. Jiang Qingwang was the only one left. If he didn't help, did he expect her to carry him up herself? Jiang Qingwang's face turned green, but he was still worried about his sister's legs. He silently carried her to the bed. "Turn over. I want to touch her bones." "Touch her bones?" Jiang Qingwang looked at her in surprise. Jiang Qingrun didn't say anything. She tried to turn over sideways. Su Yiyan reached out and touched her back all the way down to her tailbone, and a hint of understanding appeared in her eyes. Old Master Jiang stood on the side and looked at her nervously. When he saw her get up, he asked tentatively, "Sister Su, how is Qingrun?" "It can be cured, but it will take some time." When Old Master Jiang heard the first half of the sentence, he held his breath. His face instantly turned red and his hands began to tremble. When he heard the second half of the sentence, he said without thinking, "It's good that it can be treated. As long as it can be treated, we can wait no matter how long it takes." Jiang Qingruan's face was buried in the pillow, so he couldn't see her expression. However, because of Su Yiyan's words, her hands, which were hanging by the side, suddenly grabbed the edge of the pillow tightly. Blue veins could be faintly seen. It was obvious that her heart was not calm. Jiang Qingwang's eyes also lit up. He was pleasantly surprised, but he was worried that he would rejoice for nothing. It's good that you're mentally prepared. In addition, since you've already been treated, it's best to continue the treatment one by one. That way the effect will be better. The problem now is that Chenhuan and I have to go to my aunt's place next month to accompany her due date. It might take a month or 2 for us to come back. Her place is quite far from City A. Do you want to wait for me to come back for treatment, or do you want to come to me yourself? Hearing this, Old Master Jiang's hot head cooled down a little, and he asked in a low voice, "Sister Su, may I ask where your aunt is?" "She's in City C." "City C?" Old Master Jiang muttered, "That's quite far away. But it doesn't matter. I have an old friend who has a property in City C before. I'll call him later to see if I can rent his house for a few months. If it doesn't work, we can also rent it there." Nowadays, if you have money, you don't have to worry about not having a house to live in. You can read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 554. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and confirmed again, "So, your choice is, if possible, we hope to do it as soon as possible." "Okay, then let's start tonight. You can deal with the house yourself." Jiang Qingwang exclaimed, "Tonight?" Su Yiyan turned to look at him. "What's wrong? Do you think it's too rushed? Do you want to delay a few more days?" No. Jiang Qingwang hurriedly waved his hand. "I'm just worried that you're not fully prepared." His sister was paralyzed in the lower limbs. Could she be cured with a few touches? What do I need to prepare? Do I have to bathe, change clothes, burn incense, and fast before treating your sister's illness? Why are there so many rules? Jiang Qingwang was speechless. What kind of fallacy was this? It felt even more unreliable. Su Yiyan didn't care what he thought. She directly shouted at the door, "Uncle Zhang, help me bring the box in the room." "Okay." Uncle Zhang moved quickly and brought the box down for her in a short while. Not only was there Su Yiyan's acupuncture bag in the box, but there was also a series of tools such as artemisia and massage. When Jiang Qingwang saw Su Yiyan take out such a thin and long needle from the acupuncture bag, their faces turned pale. Hu Chenhuan was very calm. After all, he had been pricked many times before and he didn't know how many needle holes there were on his body. "Sister Su, When Su Yiyan heard old Master Jiang's voice, she realized that they were still in the room. She frowned and said, "Why are you still here? Where else can we go?" "Of course we go out. In a while I'll lift her clothes and give her acupuncture. You guys are standing here. Aren't you afraid that you'll see something you shouldn't see?" Su Yiyan looked at Huo Chenhuan meaningfully. Huo Chenhuan's face changed slightly and he said with a strong desire for survival, "I'll go out right away." "We'll go out too. Grandpa." Jiang Qingwang's face was full of worry. The needle was so scary. It must be very painful. Unfortunately, old Master Jiang didn't care about what he thought and dragged him out. Seeing this, Huo Chenhuan leaned over and kissed Su Yiyan. She whispered, "I'll wait for you outside. Come out soon." "Okay, close the door for me." After the three people left, only Su Yiyan and Jiang Qingrun were left in the room. As soon as Su Yiyan approached, Jiang Qingrun's whole body stiffened. "Nervous?" "A little." "Don't be afraid. This needle looks scary but it won't hurt." Jiang Qingrun forced a smile, but he was still a little flustered. He had to try to divert his attention. "Can my leg really be cured? Did you see Chen Huan when his legs weren't working?" "No, but I heard that he was similar to you before." "What about now?" "He's fine." "Yes, he's fine. If he can recover, why can't you?" Jiang Qingrun was stunned, and her eyes suddenly became hot. It had been a few years. Her grandfather had never given up looking for people to treat her legs, but those people had said that her legs were not cured. Someone told her that if others could cure it, why couldn't she? Jiang Qingrun rubbed the pillow to hide her tears. Thank you. You'd better wait a few months before saying this to me when you're better." Okay. She had waited for a few years. Now it was only a few months. She could wait with hope. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 555. Su Yiyan was busy treating people inside, and the three of them were waiting anxiously outside. Jiang Qingwang in particular had been wandering back and forth since he came out. A layer of the floor in front of the guest room was almost rubbed off by him. At first, old Master Jiang was relatively calm. He even took advantage of this leisure time to call the old friend he had mentioned before and ask him about the suite in Sea City. The old friend was also loyal. When he heard that he was going to take his granddaughter to Sea City to live for a while, he immediately said, "Why rent outside? How can renting be more comfortable than living in your own house?" Anyway, they didn't live in that house much and had always been empty. After the grandfather and granddaughter went over, they could help to clean up the house. There was no need to rent outside. He would ask someone to send the key over when he was free. Old Master Jiang didn't refuse after hearing this. He really needed this place to stay now, so there was no need to be pretentious about this matter. As for this favor, he would remember it. Time passed by minute. After about an hour, old Master Jiang began to be anxious. He frequently looked at the closed door of the guest room, and even began to be absent-minded when talking to Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan was actually a little anxious. He didn't care about Sister Zhang's situation inside, but he was worried that his wife would be tired. After working for the first day, he had to cook dinner, and now he had to treat people for so long. Just thinking about it made him feel tired. Thinking of this, Huo Chenhuan despised this family a little more. He regretted that he had revealed Su Yiyan's matter to him for a moment of convenience and for the sake of this person's old relationship with his parents. Old Master Jiang didn't know that someone had begun to regret cooperating with him because he cared about his wife. If he knew, his mood would be very complicated. "Grandpa, why is there no movement inside at all?" "Sister, your sister's leg is so serious. It must be more time-consuming to treat it. Just wait patiently." Although he said that, old Master Jiang's eyes couldn't help but drift to the door. Obviously, his heart was not at ease. At this moment, the door opened with a click. Su Yiyan walked out, yawning. "Okay, go in and bring her out. She should be asleep soon." Jiang Qingwang rushed in immediately. "Sister, are you okay?" However, she met her sister's sparkling eyes. "Sister? I'm fine. Take me out." "Oh, okay." Jiang Qingwang was stunned for a few seconds before he came back to his senses. He hurriedly carried his sister into the wheelchair, feeling that his sister seemed to be different from usual. Seeing Su Yiyan come out, Master Jiang also stood up suddenly. Suppressing the urge to go in and see his granddaughter, he took the initiative to ask about Jiang Qingrun's situation. "Sister Su Qingrun, I've already treated her. Her condition is slightly worse than Chen Huan's. Hearing this, Master Jiang's heart skipped a beat. If her condition was worse than Chen Huan's, then, fortunately, she didn't waste as much time as Chen Huan, so the chances of her being cured are still very high. If it had been a few years later, it might not have been so easy. Old Master Jiang's mood was like a roller coaster, rising and falling. If it weren't for his healthy heart, he would have been lying down by now. That's good. That's good. When Jiang Qingwang pushed his sister out, he heard their conversation. He frowned as if he had made up his mind. Suddenly he asked, "Can you really cure my sister?" Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 556. As soon as he asked this question, the atmosphere in the room immediately became subtle. "Qingwang." Old Master Jiang shouted in a low voice, for fear that he would offend him as soon as he opened his mouth. Hua Chenhuan also took his words as a question to Su Yiyan, and her face darkened on the spot. Su Yiyan didn't care much and said truthfully, "If nothing unexpected happens, yes." Jiang Qingwang gritted his teeth, walked out from behind his sister, and solemnly bowed to Su Yiyan. He even said in a particularly childish manner, "If you can cure her, my life is yours." Su Yiyan. "Young man, do you think you're filming some righteous martial arts inspirational drama?" Hua Chenhuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. What did he mean by, "My life is yours"? Didn't this mean that he would repay the kindness of saving his life with his body? He dared to steal his woman in front of him. Did he think that he was dead? "Qingwang." Old Master Jiang and Jiang Qingrun exclaimed at the same time. However, unlike the anger from before, this shout was more of fear and worry. How could this child not take his own life seriously? If he took it seriously, wouldn't it be? Su Yiyan was silent for a few seconds and couldn't help but laugh out loud. In a society ruled by law, I don't steal, I don't rob, and I don't kill for money. Why would I want your life? Jiang Qingwang was stunned and his eyes widened. He didn't know what to do. After all, he was still an immature minor. In the eyes of Su Yiyan, who had lived 2 lives, he was just a child. If you really want to do something, first wash your... Su Yiyan pointed at his green hair and tried to think of a word. Wash this green hair. It's really too eye-catching. What did it mean to have green hair? Didn't children nowadays know? Su Yiyan thought about it for a while and decided not to hurt her eyes. She was just trying to pursue a little unconventional. Before Jiang Qingrun completely recovered, she would definitely have to meet this grandfather and grandson several times. Based on how much he cared about his sister, he would most likely be present when he treated Jiang Qingrun. Su Yiyan felt that he might go blind after looking at this green-haired beast a few more times. Hua Chenhuan narrowed her eyes. She felt that the patch of green on top of a certain someone's head was very similar to her. Jiang Qingwang didn't sense the approaching danger. Hearing Su Yiyan's words, he blankly reached out his hand to touch his dazzling smart neon green. Feeling wronged, he said, "Is it really that ugly?" As soon as this was said, not only Su Yiyan, but even Jiang Qingrun and the others' expressions became indescribable. "Actually, Grandpa and I have wanted to be with you for a long time. Your hair is really ugly." It was really ugly. She just wanted to protect her child's self-esteem, so she had no choice but to hold her nose and bear with it. Now, someone finally spoke the truth that they had been holding back for a long time. Jiang Qingrun gave his brother a fatal blow without any psychological burden. As if struck by lightning, Jiang Qingwang shut himself up on the spot. When they saw him looking at each other like this, they couldn't help but burst out laughing. It was a little late when they started the treatment. When the treatment ended, it was already late at night. The 3 people from the Jiang family didn't want to disturb them anymore. After thanking Su Yiyan again, they prepared to leave. Before leaving, Jiang Qingwang still didn't give up and asked, "You really don't need me, Hua Chenhuan? This stinking brat is asking for a beating." Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Ming Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 557. Su Yiyan was slightly startled. She glanced at old Master Jiang and Jiang Qingrun, who looked nervous. She sighed inwardly. Naughty children were really worrisome. No need. Su Yiyan seriously rejected Jiang Qingwang's proposal. "Child, don't always think about these messy things. Compensation and rewards are important. They have nothing to do with you." "How does it have nothing to do with me?" Jiang Qingwang subconsciously glanced at his sister's legs and said unwillingly, I'm not a child. Before you say that, dye your green hair back first. Jiang Qingwang. I was so angry. He couldn't stand this grievance. Su Yiyan didn't care whether he was wronged or not. She winked at old Master Jiang and asked him to quickly take this naughty child home. Old Master Jiang was also afraid that this naughty child would say something shocking again, so he covered his mouth and dragged him and his eldest granddaughter away in a hurry. Su Yiyan looked at their backs as they hurried away, but she couldn't help laughing. She didn't laugh for long before her face was turned over by a certain someone. She saw her man's face, which was as black as the bottom of a pot. What's wrong? Su Yiyan blinked innocently. You smiled so happily at him. Huo Chenhuan said this through gritted teeth. Su Yiyan smiled slightly and deliberately teased him. Don't you think he's very interesting? Oh, yes. Ha 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 ha. Su Yiyan looked at Huo Chenhuan's black face and couldn't help laughing out loud. Do you think his green hair matches you well? Huo Chenhuan's black face suddenly turned green, and 2 sentences he saw in the live broadcast room unconsciously appeared in his mind. Love is a light so green that it makes people panic. If you want to live a good life, you have to be a cuckold. Bah, nonsense, no one can make him wear a cuckold. Su Yiyan looked at her man's increasingly unsightly expression. She held back her laughter and explained, that's the way I look at the child. Although the child is naughty and mischievous, she's very cute. Although he would be angry when he saw them causing trouble, he would feel more helpless, which made him laugh. And when I look at him, I always think of you. Thinking of me? The affectionate look on Huo Chenhuan's face froze. She couldn't understand how they were similar. Su Yiyan turned to look at him. His eyes seemed to contain a ray of light. He's not old. Looking at him, I always wonder if you were about the same age as him before the accident. Huo Chenhuan was slightly startled. Indeed, he and his parents were about Jiang Qingwang's age when the accident happened. At that time, did you also have a rebellious period like him? Maybe you even dyed your hair green like him? Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh again. Huo Chenhuan. I'm not. Don't overthink it. I'm not as childish as him. Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh. She deliberately teased him. You also know that he's childish? Then, aren't you even more childish for arguing with such a childish person like him? Huo Chenhuan was at a loss for words. Anyway, you're not allowed to smile at him like that again. I can't guarantee that unless he can be normal next time. Otherwise, with that head of green light, green hair, it would be hard for her not to notice him even if she didn't want to. It wasn't just green hair. What if he dyed his hair red, purple, yellow, or rainbow? She couldn't guarantee that she would put all these hair colors on Huo Chenhuan's head one by one. Then, ha ha ha. With that thought, Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh like a barbell. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 558. Huo Chenhuan sensed Su Yiyan's gaze lingering on the top of her head. She heard her uncontrollable laughter and guessed what she was thinking. She was both annoyed and amused. She secretly planned to call old Master Jiang when Su Yiyan wasn't paying attention and ask him to discipline his rebellious grandson. Young Master Jiang, who had no idea that he was about to be cut in half during his rebellious period. Who did he offend? Now that the Jiang family's matter was resolved, Su Yiyan was relieved of the burden on her shoulders. The next morning, Su Yiyan was in a good mood and went to the company to clock in. However, she bumped into an unexpected acquaintance. Auntie? Su Yiyan turned her head in confusion and saw Lan Jia waving happily at her not far away. Why was this guy at her company? Auntie? And Rusu, who was dragged over by Lan Jia, looked at Su Yiyan in surprise. She couldn't believe that this girl who was about the same age as them was Lan Jia's auntie? As if reading her mind, Su Yiyan glared at Lan Jia helplessly and pretended to be annoyed. You can just call me by my name. Calling me auntie makes me sound old. Lan Jia touched his head guiltily and complained in a low voice, Sister-in-law and my parents scolded me and told me not to be rude in front of you. Since he had already said that, Su Yiyan didn't want to dwell on the issue. She turned her gaze to the girl beside him. And this is... Hello, President Su. My name is Rusu. I'm the scriptwriter who's here to discuss a collaboration with your company. Scriptwriter? Su Yiyan's eyes darted between the two of them. She smiled and asked, What's your relationship with him? Anrusu didn't expect her to be so direct and was stunned for a few seconds. Lan Jaya saw this and immediately answered, "She's my junior from the same school and also my current girlfriend." Girlfriend? Su Yiyan came to a sudden realization. The girlfriend you mentioned to your sister-in-law during your grandfather's birthday? Yes, that's her. Lan Jaya was a little embarrassed, but he didn't forget to recommend his girlfriend to Su Yiyan. Our Su is very good at drawing. Many people on the internet like to watch her drawings. She's also a fan of the host. Su Yiyan then recalled that Lan Jaya had previously mentioned that she was their matchmaker. Could it be because of this that a certain someone had dragged his girlfriend into her trap? Oh really? What was her ID in the live streaming room? I might have an impression of him. The moment Su Yiyan said that, Lan Jaya instinctively looked at his girlfriend with an encouraging expression. The corner of Anrusu's mouth twitched when she caught his gaze. She said awkwardly, my livestream ID is my roommate is a dumbass. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. She felt that this ID sounded familiar. She pondered for a moment, then a thought flashed through her mind. Anrusu? Don't tell me you're... Anrusu met her gaze. She didn't know why, but for some reason she revealed her other identity. Oh, I have another ID on the internet. It's Anji Ruosu. So it was her. Wasn't Anji Ruosu one of the dorm sisters who had helped her clear her name on the internet? Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle is Obviously in Love with My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 559. Su Yiyan was pleasantly surprised. She looked at Anrusu with more enthusiasm. Don't you have a roommate whose ID is Aunt left today? And she has a verified account called Xiaoyu Ningxi? Anrusu was stunned. She didn't expect Su Yiyan to know about this. Yes. Lan Jaya looked at Anrusu, who was standing there in a daze, and chuckled. I knew she was a fan of the host. You didn't believe me. Anrusu seemed to wake up from a dream. She glanced at Su Yiyan subconsciously. Then she reached out and pinched Lan Jaya's waist without mercy. How dare he expose her in front of Rao Rao? He needs to be taught a lesson. Lan Jaya's expression changed. He wanted to cry out in pain, but then he remembered that he was in someone else's company. He could only complain about his girlfriend with tears in his eyes. Su Yiyan saw the two's actions and changed the subject. Did you come here to talk about a collaboration with our company? What collaboration? Have you signed the contract? It's an adaptation of a comic. I've already signed the contract. I'm here to deliver the script. Comic? Su Yiyan seemed to realize something. Don't tell me you're talking about, you're not allowed to become a spirit after the founding of the People's Republic? You're not allowed to become a spirit after the founding of the People's Republic, was one of the 3 IP projects that Xia Junxing had proposed to her. It was about a 9-tailed fox who became a spirit after the founding of the People's Republic due to malnutrition. She had no choice but to become a black fox. In order to avoid the investigation of the censorship department, she made countless jokes. Although this kind of plot was usually defined as a comedy, the characters in the story were full of character. The seemingly funny plot also vaguely revealed many real problems. There were laughter and tears, flesh and blood. This was why Su Yiyan had taken a liking to it and promoted it as a key IP. Anrusu was surprised. How did you know? This is the only IP that the company has been focusing on recently. I didn't expect the original author to be you. You're amazing. Anrusu was a little embarrassed by her praise. You're flattering me. I was originally learning how to draw. I drew this on a whim. I didn't expect it to come to this day. My roommate is much better than I am. Your roommate? Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. Xiaoyu Ningxi? Yes. One of her books has also been signed by your company. What's his name? Dancing in Red. Su Yiyan was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the book he paid special attention to was written by an acquaintance. Isn't she a cosplayer? Why did you go and write? Before this, Su Yiyan really didn't know what a cosplayer was. It was because of this Xia Yoshi that he went to investigate. It could be said that he had a deep impression of it. Cosplaying is just her hobby. Writing is also her hobby, just like drawing is my hobby. Anrusu didn't dare to do it. Cosplaying was one of her hobbies. It was just that Xia Ningxi had taught her to cosplay. Usually, whenever Xia Ningxi cosplayed a female character, she would drag Anrusu along to cosplay a male character. It was better not to reveal this matter, lest a certain someone thought that he was a cuckold. At this thought, and Rusu instinctively glanced at Lan Jiaye. Lan Jiaye, who was oblivious to the green light above his head. Su Yiyin heard her words and frowned slightly. Didn't you just say that you learned how to draw? Now you're saying that drawing is just your hobby? What's your main occupation then? I know that. I know that. Before Rusu could answer, Lan Jiaye beat her to it. Rusu's main occupation is a fashion designer. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Ming Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 560. A fashion designer? Su Yiyin raised her eyebrows. Her interest was piqued. She remembered that many of the characters in the comic she had read were quite beautiful. Do you have any finished designs? She asked hurriedly. And Rusu thought that Su Yiyin was trying to find out more about her, to see if she was good enough for Lan Jiaye. I do, but I'm still a student. I'm still learning, so I don't have many works. Most of them are just practice drawings. I've read your comics. The lines of the characters, especially their outfits, are quite beautiful. I didn't think about it before, but now that I know you're a fashion designer, it makes sense. Su Yiyin paused and smiled faintly. Although I don't know much about your professional knowledge, I have a good sense of aesthetics. The clothes in your paintings are very beautiful, and I'm looking forward to them becoming a reality one day. And Rusu was stunned. She knew that Su Yiyin's words were an affirmation of her abilities. At the same time, it was a sign of goodwill. Her tense nerves relaxed a little. Thank you for your kind words, she said with a smile. Su Yiyin finished talking to Rusu. She turned to Lan Jiaye and said with a half-smile, So, you came here with her today? Are you worried that the people in our company will bully her? Lan Jiaye rubbed his nose guiltily and chuckled. Of course not. I just happened to hear that she was coming today. After asking around, I found out that she's coming to your company. So, I thought I'd come with her and take a look at you. Su Yiyin smiled but didn't say anything. Her expression said, I've seen through you. You don't have to put on an act. Lan Jiaye was embarrassed. He coughed softly and said truthfully, There's one more thing. My grandfather and the others want to treat you and Uncle Hua to a meal alone. Would you do them the honor? Su Yiyin understood the Lan family's intention. They had invited Lan Jiaye and the others to a meal alone after Master Lan's 70th birthday. At that time, Hua Qinhuan also agreed. However, the Lan family probably didn't expect that Hua Qinhuan's leg would recover before they could send out the invitation. As soon as he recovered, the Lan family hurriedly came over to make an appointment. It was inevitable that people would think that they saw that Hua Qinhuan had recovered and hurriedly came over to curry favor with him. The members of the Lan family couldn't figure out what Hua Qinhuan was thinking at the moment, so they didn't dare to rashly approach her. Coincidentally, Lan Jiaye suggested that he accompany his girlfriend to Su Yiyin's company for a spin. The Lan family immediately recalled how much Hua Qinhuan cared about his new wife during the curtain date banquet, so they asked Lan Jiaye to come over and help persuade her. Su Yiyin had a good impression of the Lan family. They didn't support them when they were in their prime, but they didn't abandon them when they were down. They were more generous than many people. Qinhuan told me about this before. How about this? I'll go back and discuss it with him tonight. Let's find a time when everyone is free to get together? Lan Jiaye's eyes lit up. He nodded repeatedly. Okay. I'll go home and tell my grandparents in a while. They've been thinking about this for a few days. Now they can finally rest assured. Su Yiyin went home that night and told Hua Qinhuan about it. As she expected, Hua Qinhuan agreed without much hesitation. That night, she called Lan Minghan and settled on a time to visit. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 561. That weekend, Su Yiyin woke up early in the morning to make a bowl of orange peel plum chicken and papaya pork belly soup. She packed them up and prepared to send them to the Lan family. Hua Qinhuan felt sorry for his wife who woke up so early to make food for others. He was also depressed that their morning lovey-dovey time was gone. Seeing Su Yiyin coming out of the kitchen with an insulated box, Hua Qinhuan said awkwardly and sadly, We are guests. We don't have to bring food for them. It's because we are guests that we can't bring nothing. If others know about this, we won't even have the most basic manners. Besides, my food is different from theirs. This is specially prepared for the pregnant granddaughter-in-law of the Lan family. As an uncle, are you jealous of a pregnant woman? That's right. These two things were sent to Yen Xiaoran who was still pregnant. Su Yiyan specially sent ginseng to the old master's birthday. She also listed a few nourishing methods of ginseng at the bottom of the box. Her purpose was to nourish the bodies of the two old men of the Lan family who had helped Huo before. Although they were guests this time, they couldn't go empty-handed. With the Lan family's family background, they probably didn't care about ordinary things. What they cared about most now was the health of their family members. The two old men had sent the ginseng before. The men of the Lan family were also strong and didn't need any nourishment. The only person they cared about was the pregnant Yan Xiaoran, the healthy and strong man who was treated unfairly again. It's too difficult. Huo opened his mouth. He had already prepared the gifts to visit the Lan family. But on second thought, compared to the ones he had prepared, the Lan family might prefer the two dishes prepared by Su Yiyan. I just don't want to see you so tired. Su Yiyan took the initiative to hold Huo's arm. She smiled sweetly. It's just two dishes. It's not tiring. Besides, the others also helped me. Well, let's not talk about this. Let's go quickly. They will have to wait for us if we are late. Okay. The few members of the Lan family attached great importance to this gathering. They got up early in the morning to prepare. I shouldn't be too rigid in this dress, right? The blue old man touched the casual clothes on his body and turned to ask his wife for confirmation. No, this is just right. It's not too rigid or sloppy. As long as you don't pull a long face like usual, you won't scare them. When old Master Lan heard this, he curled his lips in grievance. He usually didn't deliberately keep a straight face. Wasn't it because these bastards below were too worrisome that he was always angry? Could he be blamed for this? Thinking like this, Lord Lan's slightly disdainful gaze suddenly turned to his own son, Daddy Lan, who had been implicated even when he was doing nothing. Being glared at for no reason, Mr. Lan was embarrassed. He decisively avoided his father's death stare and coughed softly. How's the preparation of the dishes in the kitchen? The soup was simmered early. It was just ready at noon. The cooling layer is ready. Let's wait for the hot guests to come. Otherwise it will be cold later. Hearing his wife's words, Mr. Lan breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Our cook is good at cooking. It's best to let them eat it a second time. In this way they could take the initiative to come to their house more often and exchange feelings. Naturally, they didn't have to worry about that. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 562. Mr. Lan was very confident in the culinary skills of his family's chef. He felt that even if Huo's family had a private chef, the culinary skills would definitely not be as good as his family's. Yan Xiaoran and Lan Minghan, the only two people who knew Su Yiyan's true identity, had a subtle expression when they heard his words. The chef's culinary skills were indeed not that good, but the host's cooking was not only good, but the food at home might not be good enough. Lan Jia was kept in the dark from the beginning to the end, stupidly waiting for Su Yiyan and Yan Xiaoran to come over. He didn't know why, but he had a good impression of this aunt. Maybe it was because they had a common idol. Idol? No, you're really thinking too much. It was almost 11 o'clock when Su Yiyan arrived at the Lan family's house. Although the Lan family tried their best to act natural, they didn't want the two to be too restrained. But when they saw the two, especially when they saw Huo, their eyes suddenly lit up, betraying their true feelings at the moment. You. Mr. Lan had already forgotten the script he had prepared before, trembling as he reached out his hand to point at Huo. Huo's eyes quickly flashed with a trace of emotion. He took the initiative to hold the old man's slightly rough hand and whispered, Uncle Lan, I'm all better. Mr. Lan's eyes reddened because of his words. He patted his hand and said, It's good that you're all better. You're still young and there are many good days waiting for you in the future. You're all good, all good. It was just a few sentences, but they were the old man's most sincere blessings. Huo's eyes were more warm. Old Madame Lan also held her husband's other hand and complained, It's rare for the children to come. Why don't you bring them in to sit? Why are you standing at the door? Mr. Lan seemed to wake up from a dream. Yes. I was so happy that I forgot. Come on, let's go in quickly. The old man was about to pull Huo into the house. Huo did not refuse. With one hand held by the old man, she pulled Su Yiyan into the house with her other hand. Yan Xiaoran naturally noticed Su Yiyan, who was following behind Huo, as well as the thermos in her hand. What is Auntie carrying? Such a big box, it's quite cumbersome. Upon hearing her question, Su Yiyan immediately exchanged a knowing smile with her. I heard that Jia's appetite hasn't been good recently and that you've been feeling nauseous, so I specially asked a skilled chef to make some food. I don't know if it's to your liking. Yan Xiaoran's eyes lit up, and the way she looked at the thermos changed. Lan Minghan was also a little excited. After the birthday banquet, his wife told him about Su Yiyan's identity and asked him to keep it a secret for the time being. After hearing this, Lan Minghan finally understood why Su Yiyan could take out such a big ginseng to give to his grandparents. Lan Minghan had a good impression of this benefactor, who had indirectly helped him and his wife to have a crystallization of their love so quickly and had previously helped them solve their grandmother's appetite problem. When he heard that there was something inside that could make his wife feel better, he hurriedly took it eagerly. He even pretended to decline. You're too polite. Just come. You didn't have to bring anything. Su Yiyan. You say that but don't accept things so quickly. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Clearly Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 563. Mr. Lan and the others did not know about Su Yiyan, so they did not have much of a reaction. However, no matter what, it was still Su Yiyan's kind intentions. Moreover, the ginseng that Su Yiyan gave to old Master Lan during his birthday celebration still made them sigh with emotion. They did not stop Yan Xiaoran and her husband from accepting it. Seeing that Lan Minghan took the things, Mrs. Lan said, "Just in time. It's getting late. Let's have a meal first. If there's anything else we can talk about it later." Yan Xiaoran and her husband were very curious about the things in the box, so naturally they did not have any objections. Su Yiyan and her husband were guests. Since the host had spoken, they naturally had no objections. The group moved to the dining table in the inner room. There were many people in the Lan family and they basically lived together, so the dining table was especially big. The two oldest elders sat at the main seat, followed by Mr. and Mrs. Lan. Wu Chenhuan and her husband were guests, so they sat on the other side. Logically speaking, Lan Minghan and his wife should sit below Mr. and Mrs. Lan, followed by Lan Jiaya. However, Yan Xiaoran was thinking about the things in the thermos box, so she did not think much and sat beside Su Yiyan. Lan Minghan was the kind of person who would sit wherever his wife was. He followed her and sat beside his wife. Lan Jiaya was a little late. When he realized that there were no more seats beside Su Yiyan, he was stunned for a moment before sitting beside Mrs. Lan. He was a little confused about his brother and sister-in-law's friendliness towards Su Yiyan. Mrs. Lan was also very surprised when she saw this scene. She smiled faintly and asked, "When did Xiaoran and Su Yiyan become so close?" After asking, she realized that she was a little rude. Before she could do anything to remedy it, she heard Su Yiyan laugh and say, "Xiaoran chatted with me during Uncle Lan's birthday celebration. Coincidentally, my aunt is pregnant, so she has some common topics with Xiaoran. Unconsciously, we talked more." When everyone heard her words, they suddenly realized that the best topic to get this woman closer was definitely children. Although Su Yiyan herself did not have any children, her relatives did. Moreover, they were very close relatives. Naturally, she had common topics with Yan Xiaoran, and it was easy for them to become familiar with each other. A group of people thought that they had seen through the truth, but little did they know that Yan Xiaoran was still in a daze. Before Su Yiyan spoke, she did not even know that the other party's aunt was pregnant, let alone discuss this matter with her. However, on second thought, Su Yiyan often used the excuse of, "Someone in my family is not in good health and needs to be nourished," during her live stream to create medicinal cuisine for related illnesses. Come to think of it, the medicinal cuisine he drank back then was made for this aunt, and she just so happened to be pregnant? Mrs. Lan had been in a good mood recently because her son and daughter-in-law were pregnant. When she heard Su Yiyan's words, her eyes lit up. "Your aunt is pregnant too?" "Yes, it's been more than 8 months. It's already been more than 8 months. Isn't she about to give birth?" "Yes, the expected date of delivery is about a month away. Chenhuan and I are planning to go over in a few weeks. There are few people over there and my aunt is not old. The two of us can help take care of her when we go over so that they won't be in a mess when the time comes." Mrs. Lan understood and nodded. She agreed and said, Of course. It's already hard to be pregnant, and it's even harder to give birth. At this time, if there are more relatives around to help, she will suffer less and her mood will be much better. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 564. Although other people could not help with childbirth, the family roused concern was always useful at times like this. At least it would let the person who was struggling to give birth know that there were so many people around her who supported her and cared for her. When she gave birth, she would have more hope in her heart and be able to persevere. Su Yiyan smiled. Then, she seemed to have thought of something and casually said, "The 2 dishes I brought for Xiaoran today were also eaten by my aunt before. When she was pregnant, she stayed at my house for a period of time. A few months ago, she did not have much of an appetite. She would vomit after eating, vomit again and again. After that, she finally felt better after eating these 2 dishes." Most pregnant women would experience morning sickness a few months before pregnancy. Qin Shueru's morning sickness was quite severe before, but she happened to be in the Su family at that time. Su Yiyan helped to nurse her back to health for a period of time and there was no problem after that. Yan Xiaoran's morning sickness came later. It only started when she was almost 5 months pregnant. The child was already grown up. Compared to Qin Shueru, it was definitely more difficult for her. Everyone in the Lan family was slightly stunned. They subconsciously looked at the 2 dishes in front of Yan Xiaoran. Su Yiyan made her orange peel plum chicken and papaya stewed pork tripe. 1 dish and 1 soup. The quality of the insulated box was very good. When the soup and dishes were taken out, they were still steaming hot. The faint fragrance of the dishes also drifted into the noses of the roused present. At this time, the table was basically filled with cold dishes and desserts. When these 2 dishes were taken out, they were a little outstanding. The rows of the Lan family were a little dazed. However, they still remembered that these were for pregnant women. No matter how greedy they were, they could not snatch them away. Su Yiyan and Huo Chenhuan were used to eating the dishes at home, so they were calm. They picked up the dessert that they had eaten at the birthday banquet and took a bite. After confirming the taste, they directly fed the rest to Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan was already used to being fed. She did not even think before putting it into her mouth and eating it quickly. The Lan family members who witnessed this scene. What was this thing that was so dazzling that it almost blinded them? It was only then that Su Yiyan realized that they weren't in their own house. Her hand movements stiffened, and a slight blush appeared on her face. Seemingly seeing Su Yiyan's embarrassment, Mrs. Lan took the initiative to start a conversation. "Yin, do you like children?" Su Yiyan subconsciously glanced at the person beside him and whispered, "I like her." "Then the 2 of you will have to work harder to return to school." Su Yiyan blushed, but Huo Chenhuan held her hand and replied with a smile, "We will." This fellow had no sense of shame in front of so many people. Su Yiyan glared at him angrily. She didn't know that in the eyes of the crowd, the 2 of them were harmonious and had a good relationship. While they were talking, the hot dishes were finally served. The Lan family chef was very good at making desserts, but when it came to hot dishes, the heat control was slightly lacking. However, compared to the high-class restaurants outside, it was considered very good. Su Yiyan and Mrs. Lan had eaten breakfast before coming, so they weren't particularly hungry. Most of the time they just ate a little symbolically. On the contrary, Yan Xiaoran, who didn't have a good appetite before this and suffered every time she ate, had a much better appetite after eating the orange pickled plum chicken. Not only did she enjoy the 2 dishes that Su Yiyan brought, but she also ate a lot of the dishes that the chef at home made, which made the family overjoyed. "Xiaoran, your appetite is much better today. Read the latest chapter of The Male Lead's Uncle Clearly Loves My Joie bookstore for free." Chapter 565. Yan Xiaoran looked up at everyone and smiled. "This plum chicken is sweet and sour. It's very appetizing. The soup tastes good too. How do you feel now? Do you want to throw up?" Although Mama Lan was happy, it wasn't like she hadn't experienced such a situation before. She ate it but then spat it all out. Yan Xiaoran shook her head. She felt better than ever. "No, my stomach feels warm and comfortable. I don't want to throw up at all." Unlike before, when he started to feel nauseous after eating it, he felt uncomfortable all over. Everyone in the Lan family was overjoyed. They were worried that Yan Xiaoran couldn't eat well these days. Seeing her poor appetite, Jirong thought of the hawthorn that Lan Jie got from Su Yiyan. At that time, Su Yiyan gave him a big box and told him not to eat too much at once or too often. If he couldn't finish it in a short time, he could dry it and store it. The effect would be similar when he made tea. For this reason, they dried a lot of hawthorn in the sun in case of an emergency. Seeing Yan Xiaoran like that, they wanted to give it to her immediately. However, Lan Jie, who had been to the restaurant several times, told them that pregnant women couldn't eat hawthorn. The only way was blocked. They were already thinking about whether they should use Lan Jia's identity as a senior viewer, and the friendship between the Lan and Hua families, to ask for it shamelessly. However, they didn't expect Su Yiyan to come first. It was like a pillow sent to them when they were sleepy. Mrs. Lan's eyes lit up. She wanted to ask Su Yiyan about the two ingredients. Yin, these two dishes. Before she could finish, Lan Jia interrupted. Auntie, why do these two dishes look a bit like the ones in the streamer's restaurant? It was normal for Lan Jia to have this suspicion. Before this, almost no one would use tangerine peel to cook. It was the same for papaya. Many people only used it as a fruit. Only in the streamer's live broadcast room would they use it to make delicious dishes. Su Yiyan was stunned by his question. After he reacted, he quickly organized his words. Ahem, you guessed right. These dishes are indeed the ones in the streamer's restaurant. Lan Jia's eyes narrowed as he exclaimed, Then how did you bring the food out? Traditional Chinese medicine had always been particular about prescribing the right medicine for each patient, and it was the same for medicinal cuisine. Different people in different situations required different things to eat, so the amount of Chinese herbs added was also different. Just like the person who had been bribed to slander their shop, he secretly took out the food that should have been eaten by him and gave it to others. Fortunately, his mother's illness was more serious than his. His portion of medicine was considered to be on the lighter side, so she didn't have any problems. If the dosage was too heavy, who knew if there would be problems after eating it? Would they really blame it on them? Therefore, after that incident, the employees in the store became even more vigilant and did not allow anyone to take the medicinal cuisine out of the store. How could Lan Jia not be surprised when he saw what was in Su Yiyan's shop? The way Lan Jia looked at Su Yiyan right now was as if he was looking at a bad student who didn't abide by the rules and secretly brought the exam papers out of the examination hall. Su cheating bad student, Su Yiyan? Well, Su Yiyan rolled his eyes and muttered, Your uncle is the supreme VIP of the restaurant. Of course he has some privileges that others don't have. Hua Qinhuan suddenly remembered what Su Yiyan had said to him when he went to the medicinal cuisine restaurant for the first time. His eyes suddenly became deep. Read the latest chapter of The Male Protagonist's Uncle Obviously Loves My Joie bookstore for free. Chapter 566. Supreme VIP. Lan Jia was stunned, then his face flushed with excitement. There's a VIP in the restaurant? What are the conditions? I want to have one too. Lan Minghan and the rest pricked up their ears. VIP. They wanted to have one too. Conditions. Su Yiyan glanced at Hua Qinhuan, a teasing smile on her lips. You probably need some nepotism. Lan Jia? Nepotism? Was it the nepotism he was thinking of? He felt that something was amiss. Lan Minghan and his wife, who knew the truth. We won't eat this dog food. This. Although Madame Lan didn't know the inside story, she could tell that Hua Qinhuan had connections. She wanted to ask him for help, but she was too embarrassed to ask. Su Yiyan could tell what she was thinking and smiled faintly. Xiaoran, if you still want to eat more, let Qinhuan inform them. It's not good for your body to get sick of the same food. Next time, let them change to something else and see which suits Xiaoran's taste better. The Lan family's eyes lit up, but they were worried that it would bring unnecessary trouble to Hua Qinhuan and Lan Jia. Will that be too much trouble for you? No, before I learned these two dishes, I discussed it with the staff in the restaurant. Their restaurant only serves 200 people at a time. It's okay to add one more person for Qinhuan's sake. Su Yiyan glanced at Yan Xiaoran and lowered her eyes to hide her emotions. She didn't want to make trouble for herself, but Yan Xiaoran's health wasn't good. In the test report that Lan Jia gave her, there were some problems with a few indicators. It wasn't obvious now, but when it got bigger, Su Yiyan was worried that she would have gestational hypertension or anemia. Although she had only met them twice, Su Yiyan could tell that this family was really good. The parents were kind, the couple was happy, and the children were filial. Most importantly, he had once extended a helping hand to Hua Qinhuan and treated him as one of his own. In her previous life, she had been by Hua Qinhuan's side. She had never seen him looking for the Lan family, nor had she heard any news about the Lan family. Was it because he did not want to involve them, or had the Lan family been in the same situation as the Qing family? Because of the plot. Although the elders were embarrassed to trouble Hua Qinhuan and her husband, they still felt sorry for them. After hesitating for a moment, he asked for help with a solemn expression. Then I'll have to trouble you. Hua Chenhuan glanced at his wife who had pushed him out to take the blame. He smiled and said, "It's nothing. You're welcome." Because of this, the distance between them was shortened a lot. It reminded the elders and Hua Chenhuan of the time when his parents were still alive. The two families often gathered together like this. Unfortunately, the affairs of the world were unpredictable. Things remained the same, but people had changed. Lan Jiaye, on the other hand, was extremely curious about Su Yiyan. "Auntie, is Uncle Hua really related to the streamer? They kind of know each other, right? Auntie, have you seen the streamer in person? What does she look like? Is she beautiful?" "Auntie, Auntie." Lan Jiaye was like a sparrow chirping non-stop around Su Yiyan. The corners of Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. Just as she was wondering how to deal with this crazy fan, Hua Chenhuan interrupted, "Yes, I know her. I've seen her in person. She's very beautiful." Lan Jiaye? Lan Minghan and his wife. They wanted to kick this dog food over. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.